Wrigley Field, the longtime home of the Chicago Cubs. A beautiful end to the weekend here. And is there a better spot for a father and son or father and daughter to celebrate Father's Day than a ballpark? We'll see the young and talented Starlin Castro of the Chicago Cubs trying to lead them to a series victory over Dustin Pedroia and the Boston Red Sox, who are trying to get back to the 500 mark with a win here tonight. Let's check out what's happened so far in this series. Ryan Dempster says, I get a triple about every 10 years, and Friday was that day. He would come in to score on a base hit by David DeJesus. That made it 3-0 for the Cubs in the second inning. Dempster did the job on the mound as well. 7 shutout innings. The Cubs win by a score of 3-0 as Carlos Marmol, recently put back into the closer spot, wraps it up for the save. Yesterday, it was the Red Sox turn to get off to a good start. They were up 4-0, and then John Lester took care of the rest, pitching shutout ball into the 7th inning before he gave up a 3-run opposite field home run to Luis Valbuena to make it a 1-run game. But the Red Sox would turn a nice double play to win the game 4-3, so each team has won once in this series. It is warm, not too warm. It is windy. Looks like it's blowing out. Tough night to be a pitcher here at Wrigley Field. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Chicago. Dan Schulman, Terry Francona, and Oral Hershiser. The Boston Red Sox have had an interesting season. They've had their ups, their downs, they're good, they're bad. Dustin Pedroia is such a key guy if they're going to make a move in the second half of the season.
Yeah, and again, he's maybe small in stature, but when he gets hot, he can carry a ball club. With his personality, with his run production, the way he approaches the game, it's infectious. And when he gets hot, you watch the Red Sox get hot right behind him.
A guy who has been hot for the bulk of the season, really has been the best hitter that the Red Sox have had this year. David Ortiz is standing by with a buster rolling.
David, you guys need a string of victories. What do the Red Sox have to do better to make that happen?
Well, we need to stay consistent on everything. You know, sometimes we come and pitch good, we don't hit well. Sometimes we hit well, we don't pitch well. You know, it's a whole package that we got to put together to stay consistent on winning.
You got one of your first starts or few starts at first base during the course of the year. What's the biggest challenge about that for you?
Being out there. You know, I just try to have fun when I'm out there, you know, and try not to do too much. I had a good communication with Pedroia and the rest of the guys, and I try not to be on their way. You know, they're out there every day. They have a better idea of how execute on play, and just try to stay out of their way.
David, thanks.
He always manages to have fun. He's doing a pretty good job between the white lines as well. As is a young player for the Cubs, 22-year-old Starlin Castro. All kinds of talk, Oral. A rebuilding mode. Will they make some trades? Is Castro a building block, though, for the future?
I think he's a franchise player. There's big decisions, but I don't think it's on this young man. I love his speed. I love the way he plays defense, sometimes erratic with his throwing arm. The hits just keep on coming. 424 at 22 and 85 days. There's only been 5 guys in the history of baseball to have more hits than that time of his age. This kid is fantastic. He's a building block.
Red Sox, Cubs, Wrigley, Father's Day. It's a good mix for a ball game here tonight. Settle back. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Sunday Night Baseball is coming up next. presentation of the ALNL Showdown, presented by State Farm.
For a dad, there's nothing like taking your kid to the ballpark, teaching them the game, answering their questions, like, can I get a hot dog? Ice cream? Cotton candy? Bases loaded in the 6th. Can I go to the bathroom? Your team's rally just thwarted. What does 6-4-3 mean? Your team down 1, a man on first with nobody out. The batter swings away. Your son tugs at your shirt. You look down at him. Why aren't they bunting? You smile. Great question.
And welcome back to Wrigley Field here in Chicago. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. Beautiful night for baseball with the Red Sox taking on the Cubs, each team having won once already in this series. Going to be a lot of Boston fans here in the ballpark. They have been all over this place so far this weekend. First-year manager, the man who sat beside us in the booth last year, Bobby Valentine. The team is a game under 500 right now under Bobby V. Let's check out the starting lineup, the batting order for the Red Sox tonight, presented by Taco Bell, a guy who has really given them a lift. Didn't even start the season with him. Outfielder Scott Podsednik hitting over 400 as a starter, almost 400 overall. Dustin Pedroia missed some time with a bad thumb since returning, just 6 for 45. David Ortiz, one of the few Red Sox hitters really consistently good all season long, putting up some big numbers for the Red Sox. On the mound tonight for the hometown Chicago Cubs, left-hander Paul Maholm.
Paul Maholm is a basic 4-pitch pitcher. The key for his success, his fastball cuts naturally into right-handed hitters. He needs to try and keep the ball down, low and away to righties. That is his arm side, and then be able to command his curveball enough to use it as an out pitch, but also use it to get back into counts when he's 0-0, 1-0, 2-0. That would really help him.
Defensively for the Cubs, a guy whose name has come up as a possible trade candidate for the Cubs heading toward the deadline, veteran outfielder Reed Johnson. He's in right. Starlin Castro can make the spectacular play. Dale Swaim, as manager, told us before, he's been playing great defense for the last 6 weeks. 7 errors in total on the season thus far. And behind the plate, Wellington Castillo gets the start. The number 1 guy, Giovanni Soto, is still on the DL, but perhaps just a couple of days, a day or two, away from returning. The Cubs are heading to the south side of Chicago to take on their crosstown rivals, the White Sox, beginning tomorrow night. A look from the rooftops across Sheffield beyond the right field wall. You can get a similar view from the rooftops beyond the left field wall, beyond Wayland Avenue. It is as unique a place as there is in baseball. Is this your first time, Tito, from a bird's eye view here at Wrigley, or have you been up here before?
No, I've never been up here. There's no bad view at Wrigley, in my opinion.
Ready for baseball. And a strike called by home plate umpire Brian Onora. It is 0-1 on Scott Podsednik.
This is what all the new ballparks are trying to do, get this feeling, except with new amenities.
Just a little bit low. A ball and a strike on Podsednik, hitting a .390. Went to camp with the Phillies. Battled Juan Pierre for a spot on the roster. Pierre won it. And now here's Podsednik. And boy, have the Red Sox needed outfielders with all their injuries this year. And he has done a magnificent job as he loops a base hit into center. And he's on base again.
And he's played mostly against right-handers. That was only his 6th at-bat against lefties. But when you lose a guy like Ellsbury, you're certainly not going to replace him. But he's done a tremendous job.
And he's got some speed. Bobby Valentine has used 23 different outfield configurations this season because of all the injuries they've had. Podsednik getting the start in left field tonight. He's aboard. And the number 2 hitter in the Red Sox lineup, second baseman Dustin Pedroia. Now, Tito, you managed Pedroia for a number of years. When he's banged up or scuffling or both, what's he like?
Well, he's never boring, and that's putting it, you know. But when they're losing and he's beat up, he doesn't like it, and he wears it on his sleeve, and he becomes ultra aggressive. You watch him swinging the bat on the bases. it's like, he's going to Red Bull the other team to death. And that's part of what, you like about him, but it's hard for him to hold back.
Big slow curveball misses a little bit outside.
He thinks he should be able to carry the team on his shoulders all the time.
Former MVP and a guy who's capable of putting up big numbers. It's the thumb on his right hand. He missed 6 games with it. There was some talk, would he go on the DL, would he not? He didn't, and he's only hitting 133 since missing those 6 games.
Well, you love that attitude that Terry's talking about, just that fire, because when he's hot, he can just keep it on a roll for so long. And that kind of attitude, even though it seems like it's pressing or trying to carry the team, that'll get you out of slumps too pretty quick, because you are just paying attention to every detail.
Let's see if Podsednik's on the move. He is not, and Pedroia drills the ball up the alley in left center field, getting all the way to the ivy. Podsednik getting the wave around third. Relay to the plate, not in time, and the Red Sox have an early lead.
And or you talked about it, Ora. If he elevates, he's going to get in trouble.
And this pitch in the middle of the plate, Tito, and I tell you what, the swing right here is outstanding. This is not trying too hard. He's right on this ball, and he just drives it.
And when he gets hot, he can get as hot as anybody in the game, and he doesn't hit singles. He gets home runs, he gets doubles, he steals bases.
So a run in early for the Red Sox. Kevin Youkilis takes low ball 1. Bobby Valentine having to get very creative with his lineup, with Will Middlebrooks, the third baseman, up from the minors and doing a nice job. Youkilis back from injury. And now with interleague play as well, they lose the DH in these games. So David Ortiz is in the lineup at first base tonight. Youkilis at third. He lifts a fly ball fairly deep to Johnson in right. Pedroia tagging. And will advance to third.
And that's a really nice piece of hitting right there.
It sure is. That'll show up as an 0 for 1 for Kevin Youkilis, and he's struggling, but he's still doing the team thing of hitting the ball to right field. Gives himself up, sets him up for their second run.
Those are the things that teammates notice. And you look in the dugout right there. Guys appreciate that.
He's been scuffling. Now 0 for his last 19, but he did move a runner. Got him to third with 1 out, and that's going to force Dale Swim to bring his infield in here in the first inning. A run in already. And the batter, David Ortiz.
And what they're trying to play is not quite in. They're trying to play at a depth where Pedroia won't go on contact. They're trying to stay away from a big inning, but they don't want to give up a cheap run.
I think this is a depth that most infield should play when they play in anyway, unless it's do or die. I think because it makes your manager, your third base coach, and your runner decide, are we going on contact or are we making the ball go through? It makes it a tougher decision.
I'm going to tell you something. As a third base coach, this makes your life miserable.
Yeah. A lot of times you put it on the runner.
Yeah, when they mess up.
Ball and strike. Ortiz didn't like it. Having a big year, hitting over 300, 15 homers, 41 RBIs already. He missed a game in the series. Youkilis missed one. Middlebrooks missed one to try to get everybody in there. Pulls a base hit into right field. 2-0 Boston.
And David, this is what David's done so well the last year and a half is he's back to hitting left-handers again. And it's because he's staying on the ball, extension. And if nobody's on base and they're able to play the shift, that's probably a ground out to short right field. But because the runner's at third, they have to play the infield where they do, and it's a base hit. Seen him hit that same ground ball into the shift so many times, and it's a, hey, nice swing, hang with him.
So tough start for the Cubs, down 2-0 early. Mike Aviles the batter, and he'll take ball 1. Aviles the shortstop for the Red Sox, and look at the production, Oral. 37 RBIs out of a guy at short, on pace for 80 to 90 RBIs the way things are going.
And battled out of spring training to get the job, and has just been one of those parts that a lot of Red Sox fans and people around the nation that know the Red Sox roster would just say the spare parts that are doing so well for Bobby Valentine.
In the air to left center field. Mather is there, shy of the track, 2 down.
And he's, for the most part, Mike Aviles has hit either first or ninth when they're in the American League. And to get that kind of production out of that part of the order is unbelievable.
You look at Posednik and Aviles and McDonald and Kelly Shopik, and they have just gotten great production out of guys that it just was not expected.
Yep. Daniel Nava giving them some big moments. 2 down now, and a strike taken by Darnell McDonald.
Not in there tonight, Jared Saltalamacchia.
Yep.
Starting catcher has been outstanding.
Hit his 12th home run of the season yesterday.
You need the guys with the resumes to step up to get back into this race.
And this is a day in Wrigley when you don't want a day off. When those flags are blown out, everybody wants to play.
As a starting pitcher, when the bus pulled up here and you knew you were pitching that day, that was the first place you looked when you came out of the bus. You looked to your right, and then you looked up at the flags. And it was not a lot of fun when you saw the wind blowing out. Didn't feel like friendly confines now.
You know, back in the day when Kurt Schilling was pitching for me with the Phillies and he was striking out 300, this was the one place where he looked mortal. those flags would be blown out, and old Schill just couldn't get it done. That's the only place I've ever seen him struggle.
You can have a 13-12 game here in a heartbeat.
In a hurry.
Yep.
You go to your bullpen too quick, you can get into a bind. But there's also days, and people don't realize this, when that wind blows in, it's not fair either.
No.
There's no in between here.
It is definitely a pitcher's park then, and they keep the grass thick and long year round. So when you do finally get the wind coming in off the lake and those chilly days where the ball doesn't carry much, it's fun to pitch here.
Oh, yeah, they cut the infield with a sickle.
You can see a little damage. They had a concert here last week, and there's a fair bit of damage on the grass out there. They actually spray painted some of it in the outfield to try to make it blend in a little bit better. You can see with limited success they're going to resod the field after the Cubs leave for their road trip. It hasn't appeared to have been a problem. Obviously takes away aesthetically from what you like to see when you come here to Wrigley.
Well, the ground is still level, but if you have a ground ball rolling through there, right, it might be an issue.
Fouled off. It was a Roger Waters concert that led to this damage, but by the time anybody gets back here a week from now, it should be fine. Dale Swain, first-year manager of the Cubs, a guy who coached for you, Tito, in Boston for a couple of years.
You know, they picked a good guy. He's an old-fashioned baseball guy, and if you play the game right, he'll have no problem with you.
1-2 again. McDonald lifts one down the right field line. Johnson over to make the catch, and the inning is over. But it's a good start for the Red Sox, and a guy we talked about off the top of the show getting it going for Boston. Dustin Pedroia doubles in a run, scoring Scott Posednik from first base. Bobby V loves what he's seeing early. 2-0 Boston with the Cubs coming up. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Mas. And in part by Ram Trucks. Guts, Glory, Ram. Beautiful day, beautiful city. Bottom of the first in Chicago at Wrigley Field. A 2-0 lead for the Red Sox over the Cubs. As Dale Swain sends his team out there to try to do some damage against Franklin Morales. The starting lineup for the Cubs tonight, brought to you by Taco Bell, features a very young, very exciting player in Starlin Castro. Hit over 300 each of his first 2 years, and he's close to 300 at 291 so far this season. Also a guy who didn't hit a home run until the middle of May, and he's got 12 since. Alfonso Soriano. Is he possibly trade bait even with 2 years left on that enormous contract? Time will tell. Soriano with 12 homers and 41 RBIs on the season. They will face a left-hander and a fill-in starter, Franklin Morales, filling in for Josh Beckett, who just went on the DL with some tendonitis in his shoulder.
It's his first start since 2009. He's been pretty much a career reliever. Started for Colorado back then, needing to fill in for Josh Beckett here. Outstanding fastball. 94 miles an hour, and one of the largest differentials between fastball and curveball. His curveball gets down to 76.
See how deep into the game he can go. He has had 2 relief outings recently that were fairly deep. His last one was 3 innings, and the one before that was 4 1/3, going 52 pitches. Reed Johnson will look at a strike.
There's never been anything wrong with his stuff. But when he doesn't command, he has long innings, and that's what they don't need tonight. Now they got a day off tomorrow, so their bullpen they're going to go their bullpen and use everybody.
And talking to Bobby Valentine before the game about how far can he go, and he said when he threw those 42 pitches, that long relief outing, he wanted more. The only reason Bobby took him out of the game is because he knew he needed him in the future, and he was a bullpen piece. But here tonight, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go 65, 70 pitches if he's throwing the ball well.
And 4 1/3 and then 3 innings in his last 2 appearances. 27 years of age, from Venezuela, facing the veteran Reed Johnson. And it's just outside with a breaking ball. Couldn't tell from the way Brian Onora was moving around after that pitch came in whether he was going to ring him up or not.
I thought he was getting all cranked up to ring him up.
Looked like he was getting out of the way. He thought it was a fastball and got a knee buckler from the back.
Johnson, versatile guy, generally a platoon player, has never really truly been an everyday guy. But a guy, Tito, especially in the National League, love to have on your team. He can pinch hit, pinch run, play all 3 outfield spots, and it wouldn't surprise anybody if he's wearing a different uniform in August.
And he's actually learned to hit right-handers better. He's always, like you said, been mostly a guy to face left-handers. This year he's handling righties a lot better, but you're right. There's a pretty good, you're going to look up and see him on a contender helping out. Understands his role, good teammate. If you hang it, he can hit a homer.
Rips one down the left field line. That is a fair ball. And Johnson gliding into second with a leadoff double.
Well, as we're saying, if you leave it in the middle, this is an off-speed pitch. But it just catches too much of the plate. And with 2 strikes, even though he's out front a little bit, he's got those good hitter's hands. He's made a living on that.
Yeah, the width wasn't too bad on that pitch. It was a little bit too high.
This guy goes back. There's a game in Fenway Park about 4 years ago. He didn't start the game. He was playing for Toronto, and he ended up with 7 RBIs. From that day on, I became a fan.
Here's Darwin Barney, the second baseman, hitting .275 on the season.
And Morales doesn't do a great job holding runners, but the one thing he does do is when the runner's at first, he's got a wicked pickoff move. But if you can stay away from that, you can run on him.
Johnson, the leadoff double. Morales glancing back in his direction. Now the pitch to Barney, who chases down and out of the zone, and the count is 0-2. Barney, originally a 4th-round pick in 2007, won a College World Series. And it's that time of year. Orioles heading off to Omaha tomorrow.
I've got the late game tomorrow night, South Carolina against Arkansas.
make sure you tell those U of A Wildcats that I'm pulling for them.
Is that going to help?
I don't know. Maybe I get a free basketball ticket.
Okay, I just want to make sure I help you.
Little jam shot foul up the third baseline. Let's check out the schedule from Omaha. NCAA College World Series action continues tomorrow on ESPN2. 5 o'clock Eastern Time. It'll be Florida and Kent State, and then the game that Oral will have for you. He'll be down in there in time to bring you Arkansas and South Carolina. Great action from Omaha. How many years you done that now, Oral?
Oh boy, I think it's about 7. I was there when Oregon State won back-to-back. 2-time defending champ. South Carolina, they're in there again. I work with the man with 2 first names, Mike Patrick.
How about the way Omaha puts on that event?
It's wonderful.
It is
second year in the new stadium.
0-2. Pops him up. So Barney, who's pretty good at working in that 2-spot, Tito, handling the bat, cannot get the runner over.
And those are the things that, again, Dale Swayman are trying to teach these guys, that right there, he wanted him to move the runner. At worst, wanted him to be at third with 1 out.
Oral, do we give Morales a lot of credit, too, for consistently keeping the ball right in?
I'll tell you what, it was a tough pitch sequence. He really pitched very, very well there to keep that runner at second base. You want to get on Darwin Barney, and it does kill the spirit of the Cubs, but Morales did an outstanding job. Fastball in, a little breaking ball that would have made him pull the ball and not move the runner over, and then just jamming him.
So here's Castro, hitting .291 on the season, 5 homers, 34 RBIs. And this is a guy who gets discussed and dissected and broken down and analyzed as much as any player on this team, because he has so many positives and yet some weaknesses too that he's trying to address. Some have been addressed, but the natural ability is there and is obvious.
And
into right center field and down and all the way to the fence. Castro thinking 3. And in there, standing up.
And, you know, we talk about Castro with all the tools he has and some of the immaturities. A lot of guys that are his age are in Double-A making those mistakes.
Yeah, at 22 years old, 85 days. That's his 425th hit. And there's only 5 guys in all the big leagues have ever had that many hits at that age. So this guy's in rare company. Alex Rodriguez, Robin Yount, Cesar Cedeno, unbelievable people, Al Kaline. So there's franchise ability in that body. And the mistakes that Dan has talked about are really just mistakes of youth. You know, footwork on throws, some not paying attention on every single pitch all the time, but the ability, it's unquestionable.
His 6th triple of the season, now 1 back of the National League leader, Melky Cabrera, in that department. 2-1. Red Sox lead the Cubs. Runner at third, 1 out. Infield back for Alfonso Soriano.
And this is the same situation the Cubs had last inning. The Red Sox elect to play it back. Again, the flags are blowing out. You got to expect that this game's not going to end up 2-2, and they're just going to take it out.
Well, Bobby Valentine went out for a little visit there with Franklin Morales, and I think he went out there to tell him, look, you're a starter. It's the first inning. We don't care if we give this run up. It's not a big relief situation. He's been in relief now for 150-some appearances. So as a starter, there's a different mentality right here as far as just getting out, give up a run. We'll start this game over with.
0-1 the count on Soriano. Way inside. Soriano in year 6 of his 8-year deal, $17 million per season. Obviously, if the Cubs were to try to move him, they'd have to eat a ton of money. Soriano doesn't run nearly as much as he used to, a little bit older, has a sore knee, but he can still get hot and get on a roll like he's been on recently. 1-2.
And, you know, I think people, and for obvious reasons, they look at his stats and then they look at his contract and they don't match up. But he's quietly actually having a pretty productive year.
See Theo Epstein, the former
small boss.
Yeah, former general manager in Boston, Tito's boss, and now the president of baseball operations. Jed Hoyer is the general manager here. Jed Hoyer was in Boston, went to San Diego, became the GM. Theo Epstein brought him to Chicago. This is year one of the new management team, if you will.
See some of those gray hairs on Theo's head. I think I gave him a few of those.
Well, you were there what? You were there 8 years. He was there 10 years, right?
Yeah,
yep.
We were together 8 years.
Yeah.
That poor guy.
And a couple of World Series championships, of course, in 2004 and 7. And high hopes because of the success that the Red Sox had under Theo Epstein in Boston, that he can bring the same kind of results here to Chicago. Obviously a team has a foul ball. This is a franchise, I mean, 86 years without a World Series. Come on, that ain't nothing. The Chicago Cubs are over, this is what, 103 now? This will be 104 if they don't win it this year.
What do you mean if?
you know what, and I know Cubs fans have been living and dying for a long time, and it's not going to happen overnight, especially with the draft rules, the way they're different. Those guys in that room are awful smart, and they're awful hardworking, and the future's going to be bright for the Cubs, I guarantee you.
And Soriano strikes out, 2 down. So for the second time in the inning, the Cubs cannot execute in terms of getting a runner over or getting a runner in.
And they're giving him that run there. All you have to do is put the bat on the ball, and looked like a changeup.
It's a high changeup. It really is a ball he should put in play. Soriano is really a notorious low ball hitter. Has a tendency to swing through those high pitches like that, but usually fastballs, not changeups.
So 2 down after the Soriano strikeout. And the batter is first baseman Jeff Baker. Baker generally playing only against left-handed starters. Brian LaHare gets the at-bats against righties. Got off to a sensational start, LaHare did. They're still putting up some good numbers. We'll talk about the first baseman of the future for the Cubs as time permits tonight. And a little weak ground ball to first. Big Poppy. Inning over. The Cubs get one back, 2-1 at the end of an inning in Chicago. very happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Got some great pictures of some fathers and sons, fathers and daughters here at Wrigley Field today and tonight. I know we all want to take this opportunity to wish happy Father's Day to our dads. So to my dad, Arnie, back in Toronto, watching the game tonight. Dad, I love you and glad you're watching and can't wait to see you on Tuesday.
My dad, Oral Sr. in Vero Beach, Florida. Love you, Dad.
I got the best dad in the world.
Thanks a lot.
I'm telling you, I do.
I just do.
I just do.
Big league dad.
Yeah, he's a good dad.
We all made out okay, huh?
He was
good.
Great initiatives for Major League Baseball, too. We talked about the breast cancer initiative to raise money towards a cure and for research on Mother's Day, and MLB gets involved in the same kind of thing towards a cure for prostate cancer and research to understand more about that disease. And that's why you see the blue wristbands, among other things, all kinds of things auctioned off to raise money. Special blue MLB Father's Day lineup cards also being used by each team. All kinds of things getting auctioned off to raise money to continue researching how to beat that disease.
It's amazing how willingly every player, because every player is so routine oriented, and it's amazing when you ask them to wear something for Mother's Day or Father's Day, they do it in such a hurry with no complaints because it's for a good cause. You never hear anybody complaining. They all do it.
Kelly Shopik leading off the second for the Red Sox. And a swing and a foul back, 2-2 on the Boston catcher tonight. Jared Saltalamacchia getting the night off. Saltalamacchia having a big year. 12 home runs, including a big 2-run homer yesterday. Shopik can get a hold of one and drive one a long ways.
You know what, Dan? You put their combination of their production together, and they're leading the league. And they might do it together, but still, they're getting tremendous production out of their catching position.
It's funny, the more you look at this team, when you just look at the surface, you say, boy, they're struggling. Ellsbury's hurt, and Crawford's hurt, and Bailey's hurt, and Melanson got sent down, although he's back. And now Beckett's on the DL, and Gonzalez isn't putting up, and on and on and on. But the deeper you dig, and you guys both talked about it, when you look at the Saltalamacchias and the Pasedniks and the Navas and the Padillas and the Millers, the deeper you dig, the better the picture looks for the Boston Red Sox.
Some guys have gotten opportunities, and they've made the most of it. And it's helped keep them afloat.
And if all goes well, Oral, within 3-4 weeks conceivably, Carl Crawford, Jacoby Ellsbury, Cody Ross sooner than that, Andrew Bailey maybe after the All-Star break.
And their best pitcher right now, in my opinion, is in AAA, in Daniel Bard.
And he's kind of between a rock and a hard place. They want to bring him back as a starter. They want to bring him back as a reliever. They really don't want to upset the chemistry they have going in the pen right now. It's been firing unbelievable. Last 54 games, and ERA a click over 2 in that bullpen.
I got to tell you, I would be willing to upset the chemistry to have Daniel Bard pitching in the 8th inning.
Yeah.
I think he can be that good.
Leave Aceves in the 9th and put Bard
Daniel
in the 8th.
Bard is one of the better setup guys in all of baseball.
That group down there has been outstanding over the last 6 or 8 weeks. Here's the 8th pitch of the at-bat, and it's the last one that Shopik will see. First strikeout of the night for Mahalam. And that'll bring up Ryan Kalish here at Wrigley. Kalish just called up. Ryan Sweeney put on the DL with a toe injury. So here's Kalish, who spent some time playing for Terry with the Red Sox 2 years ago. Did not play at all in the majors last year because of shoulder and neck trouble. But you are full of praise when it comes to Ryan Kalish. What do you like so much about this?
Everything. This kid is why you want to be a coach or a manager. I mean, when Theo called him up a couple years ago, he couldn't make a trade, and Theo came in the coach's room and he was very apologetic. He said, guys, I just couldn't, it wasn't right. He goes, well, we're going to call up this kid Ryan Kalish. And we all were like, yes, this kid plays the game the way it's supposed to be.
Just lights the room up when he goes in the locker room as far as the effort, the way he goes about his business. We all know what that's like, you know, as we play high school sports or college sports or anything you've done in athletics that requires a team, and you figure out who the leaders are, where the energy's coming from, and that exists at the big league level too. You put 25 guys in a room, you need that kind of guy.
He would come in early to the ballpark, and he was so open to learning about baseball and how to play the game right, and he just loves competing. And he's got a lot to learn. I mean, he missed a whole year, which is going to hurt his development, but he's a kid that you can win with.
Stays alive at 2-2. Let's go down to Buster for more.
Guys, Ryan Kalish got the call that he was going to the big leagues at 12:30 last night when he was in Buffalo. He got on a plane quickly this morning, arrived at the ballpark, as Terry said, early, 7 hours before the game. Bobby Valentine saw him and said, "Do you want to play tonight?" And he said, "Absolutely."
And Bobby V happy to put him in there. Kalish becoming the 13th different player to start in the outfield for the Red Sox this year. Now 24 different combinations, different threesomes have been out there. And it was supposed to be, obviously, Crawford getting the bulk of the time at left, and Ellsbury in center, and Sweeney and Ross, I guess, platooning was plan A in right field.
Well, and again, this kid lost a year of development last year. When he's right, he's going to be their right fielder. He'll be their everyday right fielder. He just needs to stay healthy so he can stay on the field.
Strikes out swinging, 2 down. Two to 1 Red Sox, top of the second. Tricky time of night, the way the sun comes in between the lower deck and the upper deck here at Wrigley. And Terry, you've managed here, you've played here. There's some tricky stuff
here. You know what? The
Cubs
Cubs aren't idiots. Look who they put in the first base dugouts.
I tell you, as a left-handed pitcher, it's a lot better. As a righty, I hated these games because it came right into your eyes. The lefties have their back to it. But if there were two right-handers going right now, that sun like that is what you see before you go to deliver the ball home.
So are there times as a first baseman, whether it's a pickoff throw or a throw from third, where you're hoping and praying?
You know what? As good a move as Franklin Morales has, he might pick off David Ortiz.
1-2 on the Boston pitcher.
I used to pull my hat way down on the right side, almost look a little awkward, you know, and you have to shade that one eye because it comes storming through there. Some really light popcorn or dust?
I don't know what we got. Outside, 2-2.
I got to believe Franklin Morales hasn't had that bad in a few years.
Nope. I would say not.
Takes another one. The count is full.
You know, even if your pitcher makes an out, if you can have him see 5, 6, 7 pitches, that might cost Paul Maholm an inning. Nothing worse than your pitcher going up, making it out on the first pitch.
The emergency hack, and the inning is over. Maholm strikes out the side here in Chicago. Welcome back to ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. Or to the AL-NL Showdown, presented by State Farm. Dan Schulman, Terry Francona, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney. Wrigley Field in Chicago, with the sun making its presence felt here on the north side this time of night, creeping in between the decks. And that's why David Ortiz is, you were talking about that, Earl. You'd have it down on the right side of your head, and Ortiz at first base, he's got to angle it off to the left side to try to keep the sun out of his eyes.
He looks like Fernando Rodney.
This is a unique place between the wind, the sun, the ivy, the bullpens in play down the lines, which you hardly ever see anymore.
And I hope they keep this ballpark.
Here's Joe Mather, the center fielder, to take a strike. Well, there's some talk, and you were managing in Boston. Theo Epstein was the GM then when they went through a lot of renovations at Fenway Park, put in some new seats and upgraded some things here and there, and it sounds like they're at the beginning of that process here at Wrigley. And a place this old is wonderful, but it needs a coat of paint, a little bit more than that every now and again. But you can just never imagine the Cubs playing anywhere other than here.
I hope not in my lifetime. I hope they find a way like they did at Fenway to make this work even better so they can keep it.
Did you like playing here?
Yeah, you know what? The whole atmosphere. I mean, the dugouts now, it's hard to see the game from the dugouts. They're down low, and the field used to be real high. They've leveled the field off a little bit, but the atmosphere, the fans here, I mean, they're good fans. They certainly they want a winner, but they show up and they're enthusiastic. And I mean, this is days of Harry Carey. I mean, it was a fun place to be.
Obviously, more day games than any other team in baseball.
All day games back then.
That's right. Mather's gone one down.
Yeah, the field used to have about a 6-foot crown to it because of the drainage, and then they dug it all up and they put a drainage system in. And when you'd round third, when it was crowned, you'd run right into the Cubs dugout almost if it was wet. You slide. They leveled it off, and now you can see a lot better.
How many catchers do you see on pop-ups fall?
Oh, all the time
because it was downhill.
The ground was falling out from under.
Oh yeah.
And we're not talking a long way back. I don't know when the renovation of the field was, maybe 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago.
But it'd be hard to argue a call second base on this field because you couldn't see the base.
See it. That's right. Here's Wellington Castillo, the catcher. Terry, did you ever run into the wall? And people, there's ivy out there, but first of all, it doesn't grow in until, May, June. Did you ever run into the brick wall?
No, but see the Cubs bullpen? I slid into those bricks down there in 1984. And I blew my knee out the next day in Montreal. But those bricks right there next to that bench, those are real. And when you hit them, it hurts. Right there. I got part of my cartilage right there in that one brick.
You can't escape the brick here at Wrigley. There's a strike, 2-1 on Castillo. I'm sure you can repeat none of it, but I'm sure you guys both heard some of the most interesting things from fans anywhere in baseball right here in this ballpark.
During batting practice?
Oh, yeah. Especially in the left field and right field bleachers when you're out there shagging and it's the day after you might have got a loss from the Cubs. Oh, it's a lot of fun.
Wrigley Field opened in 1914. It was known as Weigman Park then. The Cubs didn't move in until 1916. The old Chicago Whales, or Federals of the Federal League, were the tenant here the first couple of years. Castillo called out on a fastball for strike 3.
I'll tell you what, ever since he gave up the run and Bobby Valentine visited him on the mound, he is pitching a little bit more like a starter, mixing his changeup in. Strictly fastball curveball here. He starts off with the fastball early, but then, he uses his curveball, which is a huge differential in speed. But the thing that really has helped him get out of the jam with the man on third, only give up the one run, is this little changeup he started mixing in on the outside part of the plate to these righters. Now he's got 3 pitches going for him. He's mowing them down.
And that pitch there is only the 5th ball that he has thrown tonight. So Bobby Valentine will love that if he's counting the strike zone, keeping the pitch count down to the best of his ability. 2 down, nobody on. 3 strikeouts already for Morales. And here's Luis Valbuena, who was responsible for all of the Cub offense last night in a 4-3 loss, with a 3-run opposite field home run off John Lester.
And I know when they called Valbuena up, it didn't make big news in Chicago. But this is a kid that can play all three, second base, shortstop, and third, make all the plays, and help your ball club win. Maybe not as a starter, but he can play certain times. He can, in the National League, you can double switch with him. He's got really good instincts in the infield.
Two down, nobody on. 2-1 on Valbuena. Pitcher Mahalam due up next, should the inning continue. In the air, shallow right center. And McDonald there to make the catch and end the inning. 3 up and 3 down. We'll see Dustin Pedroia when we come back for the top of the third. Also, a Baseball Tonight update is on the way. Fellas, thank you very much. Chris Capuano with a very nice performance for the Dodgers today, striking out 12 for the team that still has the best record in all of baseball, 42-25. Aerial shot of Wrigley Field here on the north side of Chicago. We go to the top of the third inning. The Red Sox leading the Cubs 2-1. Top of the order for Boston, Scott Podsednik makes the breaking ball high from Paul Mahalam. Podsednik singled and scored in the first inning on a double by Dustin Pedroia, who is waiting in the on-deck circle. His 19th game with Boston. He's hitting .400. So what happens when the Crawfords and the Ellsburys and the Rosses all come back, and they're all on different timetables right now?
Some roster issues.
And guys, you make decisions that you don't want to. That's what hurts, because you're going to lose guys that have really helped you. Because this guy, like Scott Podsednik, he's a veteran guy. Some team will pick him up if you put him on waivers, and you hate to lose guys like that, but you have no choice.
2-2. Crawford with a bad elbow. Bobby Valentine said before the game he feels it. He doesn't have pain, but still feeling a little bit when he throws. Ellsbury trying to come back from the shoulder injury. And an awkward looking swing there by Podsednik. Almost looked like he was getting himself in bunt for a base hit mode, but there were 2 strikes on him, and maybe that was the ultimate emergency hack right there.
That looked like he was getting himself ready to go back to the dugout swing.
Yeah, he's so full. It makes. Oh, he is kind of running up and do a little slap.
Yep.
He was going to slap it over there, try and sneak it by the mound.
think Dale Swain was saying maybe he's out of the batter's box.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't get you out. You're still in there.
Gets another chance. It's a roller up the middle. Castro on the first in time.
And Dustin Pedroia's first at bat, he takes a swinger and it's a double, and he starts his swing out doing everything wrong. Shoulders not balanced, front leg is, and then when he gets to contact, it's perfect. He's the only guy. Somehow it goes from ugly to perfect, and he's the only one that can do it. When he's going bad, I wouldn't want to be the hitting instructor because I don't know what to tell him.
That's a long stride for a little guy, isn't it?
But he barrels up more balls. His hand-eye coordination has to be off the charts. And again, I've seen him get hot, and he could put a team on those little shoulders.
Liner into left field, a base hit. So he came into this game 6 for his last 45. He's got a double and a single in his first 2 at-bats tonight.
And look, we're going to see the swing again. He does everything wrong. And he hits that ball. And I guarantee he's down there at first base telling Alex Ochoa he should have hit a home run. He has an amazing ability to get the barrel of the bat on the ball so often.
Is there anybody you managed, coached, or played with that you can compare him to?
No. When he first came up to the big leagues and he wasn't hitting, Dave Magadan was beside himself because he didn't know how to help him. And Theo and his guys had assured us he would be good. They were right. He was better than that.
Outside.
I mean, look at this. This ball gets in on him a little bit, but he drops his hands, keeps it inside the ball, and gets that barrel to it, and ends up hitting it hard.
He crocodile armed that one. He really.
Yeah, he's got the smallest arms in the league anyway. Yeah, the self-proclaimed laser show. He can be arrogant and humble in the same sentence. I don't know how he pulls it off, but
our audience doesn't know how close you are with him because you're getting really close to kind of really ripping on him. So this is all in fun, and you guys are good friends.
He's the best.
Yeah,
he's the best.
I just want to let the audience know. This is brotherly love.
2-0 the count with Pedroia at first on Youkilis, who takes a strike. And Youkilis's name has been all over the Boston press recently because there is a presumption that the Red Sox may want to move him to free up time. As we mentioned, they've got a logjam between third, first. Adrian Gonzalez has been playing a lot of right field, which is not his normal position. He's not in the lineup tonight. But Youkilis has a big contract, last year of the deal. Probably doesn't have as much value now, obviously, as he had a year or 2 or 3 ago. But another uncomfortable position where you've got more people than spots.
It's really interesting because when you're out talking to Boston fans and they talk about moving Kevin Youkilis, they go, they can't move him. He's the heart and soul of the team. He's one of the best players. And then if he gets hot, that would be the best thing for the Red Sox because it would up his value. But then, you know, the waves it would cause if they let him go, because Boston fans absolutely love him.
But I think they're smart enough to know that Will Middlebrooks is the future.
Yep.
And they got to get his bat in there too. And Bobby's doing a lot of juggling right now, and it's hard. And you got a lefty pitching tonight for Chicago, and Will Middlebrooks would fit real good in the middle of that order.
Well, they'll be glad to see the last of road games in interleague play, for one thing. That'll make it a little bit easier on them. Send Ortiz back to DH. Well, they'd love to get Adrian Gonzalez back to first base full-time, get him out of the outfield.
Well, scheduled off day today, but he's done some wonderful things for them to move around and play in the outfield with his legs. And, you know, he's just not the body type to play right field, but he's a good enough baseball guy to know the reads and the angles to play out there.
Well, I mean, just think if he'd have said I couldn't go out there.
Oh.
I mean, think about the logjam then.
Yeah.
Bobby V has penciled Gonzalez into the outfield 17 times as a starter. I think more than anybody ever could have imagined under any set of circumstances. Youkilis has been bouncing back and forth between third and first. Let's get a little bit more on Kevin Youkilis right now. Down to Buster.
Guys, other teams have taken a look at him. The Dodgers, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Pittsburgh Pirates among those. And in talking with general managers, they say that right now they look at Youkilis as being a guy who they don't want to pay a lot of money to and they don't want to give up a top prospect for. And so right now they feel like that the Red Sox are not close in terms of what they're willing to give up to get him. Now, if they cut him, then you'd see a number of teams interested in him.
Because then a team could go out and get him for the prorated minimum. The Red Sox would have to assume the rest.
It's amazing how things change over a couple years. I mean, 2 years ago, Youkilis was a middle of the order, bona fide, he's an all-star, had the reputation for grinding out bats as good as anybody in the league. And, you put a few years and you get a couple injuries and things change.
Full count.
But he will never give an at-bat away, and if he's healthy, he can hit. And again, don't be surprised here if Pedroia runs. Sometimes I think they leave him on his own because he's such a good base runner. And he was going there.
Having to be extra careful with the left-hander Mahalam on the mound. Ortiz waiting on deck. He is going. 3-2. Swung on and missed. Throw down. Got him. Double play. Inning over. To the bottom of the third. The Cubs coming up, trailing by a run.
Seem familiar. The never-ending curse. The relic of a ballpark. Obstructed views and tight seats. And then there's the flags. Some are used to the tradition. Others will never be.
From one historic franchise to another, Theo Epstein came to the great city of Chicago to take over the Cubs as their president of baseball operations. He still looks about as young as he did when he took that job in Boston. I know that job will age people.
He's got some gray hair in there.
He was the GM for 2 World Series championships in Boston, became the GM of the Red Sox in 2002. At the time, was the youngest general manager in the majors. The Boston Red Sox snapping the drought in 2004. Theo Epstein resigned, and then about 5 weeks later came back to the Red Sox, another World Series. Who was that guy on the stage with him? In 2007, and they named the president of the Cubs this past October. And he's got a job ahead of him. And he's not running from that, and he's not portraying it as anything other than what it is. Oral, this is a big job. I mean, they've still got some bad contracts. Some of them are done. The farm system is not viewed as one of the strongest. This is not a team that figures to be a contender in a couple of months or maybe even next year. It's going to be a while.
It is going to be a while, and he's got a lot of work, and I'm sure it's not only just fixing the Major League roster, it's the culture throughout the organization. You don't step into a place that hasn't won a world championship in a long, long time, 100 years, and not have more than problems at the big league level. So I'm thinking, you know, the man sitting next to us, Terry Francona here, he knows how smart he is, and he knows what he can do to build an organization.
You know, I think Theo sees the big picture really well, and he's not, you know, I think that's what was part of the problem in Boston, was that there were times when he wanted to step back and maybe take a year and rebuild, and you couldn't do that in Boston. And he always said, if you go get enough free agents, you're going to make some mistakes. He owned up to it, and he felt strongly about it. And I think here he's going to enjoy this challenge. This is a heck of a challenge,
yes, it is.
But he's going to enjoy it.
What's the pressure like? I mean, again, when Theo Epstein got to Boston and you started managing there as well, you won in your first year, so maybe a bit of an unusual situation, but the drought was 86 years. It's over 100 years here. How much more difficult does that make the job of making rational decisions as opposed to knee-jerk?
He won't do a knee-jerk. No, he's too smart for that. That's where he's a good caretaker of the organization. You know, as a manager, I think you want your roster complete every night. And he used to sit and tell me on opening day, relax. In a month from now, this will work, that'll work. And he was right. And I learned a lot about that stuff from him, about take it easy. You know, you want your team, every manager wants the perfect roster every night. Doesn't work that way.
No, the managers always think that, you know, the wins in April are just the same as the ones in September, and it feels so intense coming out of spring training. You want to get a good start.
Ground ball to short. And Johnson retired, 2 down, and now 7 in a row set down by Franklin Morales. Well, if they start rebuilding, maybe they start doing that by trading away some players. Ryan Dempster, everybody assumes, is going to be somewhere else. He is pitching tremendously well this year. He's a 10-5 guy, so he's got a no-trade clause, but it sounds like he will waive that to go to a contender. Will they deal Matt Garza? He's a guy who's had success in the American League East, so you know he can pitch pretty much anywhere. It seems unlikely they could move Soriano unless they eat a huge amount of money. Reed Johnson, whom we just saw, somebody who could be dealt, but he would not bring back the same level you would think as a guy like a Dempster or a Garza.
LaHair is kind of a late bloomer. Yep. Maybe you sell high to somebody who needs some offense, because he really doesn't have a track record of the production he's been given or been showing.
And for all the, you know, the talk of Boston being a big market, which it is, Theo believes in player development as much as anybody. And you watch, there'll be changes made in the minor leagues here with the Cubs. And they'll become stronger, and you'll see guys come up and help the major league team in the next couple of years.
They went after a lot of pitching in the amateur draft. They just went out and signed Jorge Soler, an outfielder from Cuba, to a 9-year deal worth $30 million. So they're trying to address things in the farm system at the major league level. But again, there are more than just a couple of leaks to plug here on this.
Did you get to be in the draft room at all during those times as manager where you saw the philosophy of the draft from a Theo regime?
I would walk in there just to, you know, to peek in, not to say anything.
Were they looking for tools? Were they looking for the stats? Were they...
Both. They were very in-depth on everything they did. I mean, to get a guy like Dustin Pedroia, you know, as a sandwich pick coming out of Arizona State, that's not only good scouting, but that body. Again, I love this kid,
right?
But that's not a first-round pick body.
No.
And look what he did. He's Rookie of the Year. He's MVP. You know, you win with guys like that.
That's a gym rat that knows how to play baseball and got a lot of talent.
And guys like Kalish, I mean, they'll do the same thing here. Now, with the draft rules different, it makes it harder. You know, with the slotting and the being penalized for things like that, that's going to hurt them a little bit because they were good at that stuff.
You have to stick to a total amount of bonus money for your draft picks, or you get fined, and eventually perhaps you can lose some picks. So the big market teams don't figure to be able to say to a kid who's maybe saying, I'm going to go to college, and then you draft him in the 12th round, even though he's a second-round talent, you pay him a lot of money, and you get him to turn pro. That's not going to be the kind of thing that a team can easily do anymore. But the city doesn't care about any of that stuff. They think you should walk on water. I mean, how's that? You get the job.
I'm sure he loves that.
That's all you got to do. Just walk on water. Walk across Lake Michigan, get a couple of world championships, and it's all good.
I can see him over there probably saying, turn that TV off.
Yeah.
Barney diving back in.
And there's the pickoff move we talked about.
You know, it's hard to pick some names that'll be here in 2 years on this roster.
Well, the one that I think
Starlin Castro for sure.
There's a first baseman in AAA.
Yeah.
Rizzo.
Yep.
That will be Anthony Rizzo will be their first baseman.
Darwin Barney, they're leading off first, probably going to be on the roster for sure.
Yes, he knows how to play the game.
Rizzo's tearing it up at AAA. Went from the Red Sox system to the Padres in the Adrian Gonzalez deal, and then to the Cubs for pitcher Andrew Kashner. Well over 300, over 20 home runs already this season. And Dale Swaim said to us today, it's getting to that time. Whether it's a week or two, he's on the way.
And he can play first base. He's very good defensively. He's a good kid, and he's a really strong left-hand hitter, as his numbers show. He got called up last year, maybe a little too early, and got beat up. He'll be fine.
But we know they're going to have money to sign free agents. It'll be all the timing of when is the roster ready to inject the free agents. How long will the Cub fans allow them to wait? Because the Cub fans know they have money. Cub fans know that they can make moves.
They still draw pretty well, even through the bad times. And now, to be fair, there were a ton of Tiger fans here midweek, a ton of Red Sox fans here this weekend. But
well, this is a destination. Not only if your team is playing here do you want to come, but you want to come if you're just a baseball fan to see it and hang out for a nice long weekend in Chicago.
It is great.
I mean, you brought your son.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. Nice night. Happy Father's Day. Beautiful game. Beautiful night for a Sunday night baseball. And all kinds of dads and kids in the house here tonight at Wrigley. 2-1 the Red Sox lead the Cubs bottom of the third. Dustin Pedroia with a big RBI double for the Red Sox in the first. Starlin Castro, the batter, now has an RBI triple in this game as he takes a strike and the count is full.
And I like this 3-2 count, 2 outs. Barney's going to be running, but they're holding him on because of Morales' good move. He can't get a running start. If Castro hits a ball in the gap, it's not automatic that he scores. I love this.
And I even like my outfielders to play half a step, 2 steps a little deeper, no doubles a little bit more here in this pitch. Make 2 hits, score that run.
There he goes, and a chopper sent foul.
So often when the first baseman plays back, the runner at first gets that full head of steam going, and there's a mediocre ball in the gap, and they scored. They shouldn't.
And the other thing I watch, if I was going to throw a 3-2 breaking ball, if I'm Morales right here, I'm moving Euclid a little closer to the third baseline. You want him over there, not allowing any doubles down that line. If you're going fastball away, he can stay in his normal position. If you're going breaking ball, where you know you're going to fool the hitter a little bit on a 3-2 count, get him out front, watch out for the double down the line.
Pitch count getting up there for Morales, making a spot start out of the pen as he gets a pop-up back of first. Pedroia back into the outfield, and the ball drops. Barney around third, heading home. Safe.
And you can see Pedroia asking Darnell McDonald, did you call it? He was having trouble getting behind this ball, and he's searching right now.
You know, and you'd like to believe every player in a baseball does it, but they don't. But Darwin Barney is a guy who's not going to assume anything. He runs the bases hard.
You watch the head move, but you never saw the stride break. So he's looking around for information and staying at full speed, and he makes it by a half a step with that full stride all the way around. I'll tell you what, that's another reason that Theo will probably have him on the roster here in another couple years. That young man at second, I don't know if they call that a hit or an error. They got a hit. That's 426 hits now at 22 and 85 days. A little mix-up in communication that got him that hit, but Darwin Barney and Starlin Castro could be in the middle of that infield as major rebuilding blocks for this Cub team.
So it is tied at 2. The crowd buzzing here, but Wrigley after that play. And a swing and a miss by Alfonso Soriano.
That's an official score that a lot of hitters are going to like.
Yeah.
Franklin Morales doesn't like it, but Castro will take it. Barney going all out right away from first and in there, and a head first slide. Got a face full of dirt for his trouble. Ground ball pulled down to third, and now the inning is over. A run on a couple of hits, and the Cubs have tied it here in the third.
And the spoilers have nothing to lose. Group C Elimination Day tomorrow.
And tomorrow a doubleheader, Croatia and Spain and Italy and Ireland. Here are the scenarios. Italy advances with a win, and they cannot have a tie between Croatia and Spain. Ireland, much to the dismay of our producer Tom Archer, has already been eliminated from advancing. Both games available on ESPN3 and Watch ESPN.
And Spain is defending not only the World Cup, but the Euro Cup championship, which is what we know. You're defending. It's hard to do.
And Vicente Del Bosque, the Spain coach, he just signed a 2-year extension from all that success today.
Say that name again.
Del Bosque.
Nice job by you two. Nice job.
Vicente Del Bosque.
I like my job at ESPN, and I intend to keep it.
David Ortiz playing first base tonight. Game at the National League Park, leading off the fourth for the Red Sox and encountering something he has encountered umpteen times before, the shift.
And again, if they were able to play this last time, he's got a ground out to second instead of an RBI single.
Just off the outside edge, 2-1 on Ortiz. The RBI back in the first inning is 42nd on the season.
Dale Swain was talking about it before the game, how important positioning of your infielders are, and he is so good at it, and he cares so much about it. He's so passionate about it.
He called it a weapon, doing a lot of studying on defensive positioning, and this was some years ago. The metrics and the research and the understanding of these things has come a long ways in the last 8 or 9 years, but it sounds like he was really into it back in the day.
You give him a job.
High and deep, left center field, gone. No defense for that.
Well, Poppy not only stayed on that ball from a lefty, hitting it to left center, a breaking ball. This is just a picture-perfect swing for a left-on-left hitter. Stays close and drives it the opposite way, keeps him on it and through. But I'll tell you what, hit it right to a Red Sox fan. And you talked to Bobby Valentine. You know, he was up here in Terry's seat last year. And so we're pretty close with him. And he said through thick and thin, everything that the Red Sox have been through this year, David Ortiz has been the constant. Not only with his ability and the power's return, but the clubhouse presence and with the communication with the players.
And Terry, you talked about how well he's hitting lefties. This year now hitting .326 with 7 home runs in 95 at-bats against left-handed pitching.
You know, last year, you know, he had really taken a downturn against left-handers, and he had a little chip on his shoulder that he could do it. And you know what? He was right.
Well, the 9 home runs with the 2 strikes just shows you that he is really staying with it. There's the Red Sox fan. I'm surprised he.
Well, that guy needs to put a shirt on.
He might have had that shirt ripped trying to get that home run ball. If you're hitting home runs with 2 strikes, you're staying in there and watching the ball, letting it travel.
Aviles is gone. So David Ortiz getting it down the home run off the lefty. Let's go back a couple of years as you watch this swing for the home run. A couple of years ago he wasn't hitting them at all, and there was a big deal made of you sitting him down. Now there's a big deal made about anything in Boston, but you took him out in one, maybe 2 key situations against lefties. What was that like for you and for a proud veteran like him?
It was tough. And you know what? Looking back, it may have been wrong. We had Mike Lowell sitting on the bench who at that point in his career could really hit left-handers. David was struggling so bad, but it hurt him. And when you have maybe your best player, sometimes I think you win the battle, but you lose the war. And we had to kind of fight our way through it a little bit to get through that.
Remember, as a young left-handed hitter for the Minnesota Twins, he was kind of pull conscious, so you could really get inside on him. And then he started to learn and develop as a left-handed hitter to use the opposite field. And then you guys got him with the Red Sox. He started to pepper the green monster and really was, a dynamo with Manny Ramirez at that time. You couldn't get either one of those guys out. He's really come back to that swing.
When he uses left field, he's a much better hitter.
Nice play by a charging Valbuena to get McDonald 2 down. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell is brought to you by Hyundai. New thinking, new possibilities. And Schick Hydro Power Select. Free your skin. Beautiful night in Chicago with Oral Hershiser, Terry Francona, Buster Olney, and the Sunday night crew. I'm Dan Schulman. The Red Sox and the Cubs. A 3-2 lead for Boston as the sun sets. I mean, there was some kind of a storm here last night. They got the game, and then after that, it was raining and howling here in the city, affectionately known as the Windy City, but it has been absolutely beautiful here today. A run in this inning on the home run by Ortiz. 1 down in the inning. Excuse me, 2 down in the inning. The batter now, Kelly Shoppach. Shoppach called out on strikes his first time up. One of 5 strikeouts for Paul Maholm.
I love how they only have the second deck here in this ballpark. They don't have that big third deck that's way the heck up there.
The nosebleed seats.
They call it the friendly confines. It is.
Yep. Seats about 40,000. They've expanded the capacity a little bit in recent years, same as they did at Fenway.
Does that include the seats across the street on the roofs? Does that include them?
I don't believe it does.
So there's definitely more
that's
seating.
Some enterprising people.
Well, Cubs are making some money on that too. They got a little understanding with each other.
I think there was a negotiation about blocking the view, and then there was a little exchange of revenue.
You pay us a certain percentage.
And we
won't build billboards. Okay. Win-win.
They're probably making more money on the seat revenue than they would the billboard revenue.
But it's kind of turned into a trendy thing sitting out there.
I still think we should do a game where I'm here and you 2 guys are out there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Why don't we stay here and you go out there?
Let me get a little more experience before you leave me, big boy.
Dan's always got these ideas. I just don't like when he brings them on
Terrified
air.
I'm going to have to send it back to Bristol.
As soon as he won Broadcaster of the Year, now he says them out loud.
You guys with the soccer promos, you're grooving.
That's an out, Dan.
Shopik is gone, but a run for the Red Sox. Big Papi drives one into the seats in left center, and Boston has a 3-2 lead over the Cubs. Chicago, the Red Sox lead the Cubs 3-2. Time now for FaceTime, presented by Edward Jones. I had a chance to speak with Bobby Valentine between innings. Bobby, spot start for Franklin Morales. Have you liked what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I love it. You know, he's throwing strikes. He's, using all of his pitches. His curveball's been a little sloppy, and he's given up some hits on it. But he's doing a heck of a job holding at 95 right now, too.
You got to be thrilled to see Dustin Pedroia with a couple of solid hits.
Yeah, really swinging the bat the way he can tonight. And he's been swinging that way. He just hasn't had a lot of luck lately. And tonight they're falling.
Thanks, Bobby.
Okay, Dan.
Bobby Valentine, first-year manager of the Boston Red Sox. Dustin Pedroia, 2 for 2 with a double and a single. David Ortiz, 2 for 2 with a single and a home run. Franklin Morales now pitching into the 4th inning. We will see a number of relievers out of the Boston pen. Morales again making the spot start for Josh Beckett, just put on the DL a couple of days ago with tendonitis in his shoulder. They're hoping it's not a severe thing, that 15 days will be good enough, and that he can rejoin the front end of that rotation along with John Lester, Clay Buchholz.
Well, with Morales being over 50 pitches, you'll see the Red Sox guys down there starting to get the blood moving, because he won't be long for this game if there is a few base runners.
And there's Andrew Miller getting the blood moving. When you're 6'7", it takes a little bit longer. Blood's got a little bit further to go. So the deepest he has pitched into a game since he became a reliever. His first 15 major league appearances were all starts. Everyone since in relief until tonight.
And this is a guy they had to shut down in spring training because he had a weak shoulder. They shut him down for about 3 weeks. So looks like he's healthy. He's throwing hard.
His first year as a starter, 2007 with Colorado. His last 4 starts went through the World Series. He was 3-0 with a 1.23 ERA. He knows how to start.
Not in the World Series.
No. Through the year though.
With Colorado, and when the Red Sox beat him, there's another strikeout for Morales, number 5. Interleague play, the ALNL Showdown continues this week on ESPN and ESPN2. It'll be the Atlanta Braves taking on the New York Yankees tomorrow night on Monday Night Baseball. Then Wednesday Night Baseball on ESPN2. The Tigers host the Cardinals. Monday Night Baseball presented by USAA. Wednesday Night Baseball, both games at 7 Eastern. Both games available on ESPN3 and the Watch ESPN app. Some bad news for the Atlanta Braves. Brandon Beachy, elbow trouble. The major league leader in ERA on the DL. Joe Mather up, struck out his first time up. It seems you can't go a day without a player of note coming down with some kind of an injury, and this is obviously trouble for the Atlanta Braves, losing such a key guy. How about Matt Cain throwing a perfect game with 14 strikeouts against Houston this week? At the other end of the Giants spectrum, another loss. This one was up in Seattle for Tim Lincecum. He's 2-8. The Giants are 2-12. In his 14 starts this year, as mentioned, Beachy goes on the DL. That San Francisco situation, it's just great water cooler talk if you're a baseball fan, because the Giants are playing well. I mean, they're in range with the Dodgers. They're looking like a potential playoff team this year, as Mather is called out on strikes. But a guy who's won 2 Cy Youngs, Oral, is just not right now. But do they have no choice but to keep sending him out there?
Well, you want to send him out there if he's healthy, that's for sure. But if he's got any aches and pains, it's not a bad time to shut him down for about 15 days. Let him get a little stronger. But his ERA and the sharpness on his breaking ball and his fastball location has just not been good of late.
Bruce Bochy came out in today's paper and said he's going to pitch his way through it. We got his back. We've seen him do it before, and he'll do it again.
Giants lost today in Seattle 2-1 as the Mariners take 2 out of 3. Justin Smoke with a game-winning hit in the 9th inning for Seattle. So the Giants now 5 back of the Dodgers after the Dodgers beat the White Sox 2-1 in 10 innings. The Dodgers 1 in the 9th to tie, 1 in the 10th to win. They have been an amazing story this year.
They found ways to win without their best player, and it seems like it's somebody different every night.
Quickly 0-2 the count on Castillo. Morales potentially a strike away from striking out the side.
And he's the 3rd hitter next inning. It's going to be interesting to see second hitter if they can, knowing that he's not going to go much further in this game anyway, if they let him hit.
I think that's what that conversation is about right now.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's given them everything they could have asked for.
Six strikeouts on the night, 3 2/3 for Morales. Gave up a run in the first, a run in the third. Really deserved a better fate in the third on a pop-up, not a routine play in this ballpark, but really a pop-up to shallow right that went off the heel of Pedroia's glove and was scored as a double. Got him. 7 strikeouts for Morales. He strikes out the side in the bottom of the 4th. Beautiful night to be getting these aerial shots here in Chicago, with the Red Sox leading the Cubs 3-2 as we go to the 5th inning. Tonight's aerial coverage is brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Back at Wrigley Field in Chicago, Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. Dan Schulman, Terry Francona, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney, and the Red Sox and the Cubs, who met in the 1918 World Series. That 86-year drought, the World Series that preceded that drought, was when the Red Sox beat the Cubs in 1918. The Cubs won their 2 World Series championships prior to that, 1907, 1908. Ryan Kalish leads off the 5th for the Red Sox, takes a sweeping breaking ball outside for ball 1. It'll be Kalish, then the pitcher's spot. Morales due up second, then back to the top of the order for Pasednik. And that's still Morales out there in the on-deck circle right now,
with nobody throwing.
Yep.
So obviously he's told him he feels good enough, and they're going to leave him in there.
Chopper over the mound, big hop for Castro. 1 down. Time now for more FaceTime, presented by Edward Jones. Buster Olney spoke with Dale Swain between innings.
Dale, Starlin Castro, 2 RBI tonight. What have you learned about him as a player now that you've managed him on a day-to-day basis?
Well, you know, especially over the last 6 weeks, managing him and seeing, the strides he's made at shortstop. It's hard to believe that there's been a better shortstop in baseball over the last 6 weeks. His throws, everything's been, tremendous. So he's a great kid. Sometimes he, does a little things you want back, but, he's a great kid to coach, and especially his bat, too. I mean, his bat plays in the big league. So now with that defense he's doing, it's been tremendous.
What have you seen in Paul Maholm tonight?
Well, probably just made a couple mistakes to one of the best hitters in baseball, Ortiz. So, other than that, he's been pretty sharp. His breaking ball hasn't been, like we wanted. Like I talked today earlier about his curveball, and he hasn't been able to get the ball, arm side down like he can.
Dale, thanks.
Dale Swain with Buster Olney. Fastball outside, 1-2 on Morales, who stays. So Bobby V will give him the second at bat to send him back out there for a 5th inning. Feeling obviously Morales is pitching great, feeling he's strong enough, Oral, to go another inning.
He told the truth in his last long relief appearance. He said he wanted more. He just took him out. Now he can hit.
And he's got pretty good numbers in the majors. 7 for 28 hitting with Colorado. But a guy who a couple of teams, Buster only telling us earlier today, a couple of teams actually looked at him as an outfield prospect. He knows how to swing the bat a little bit.
Little hanging breaking ball right here. Comes out of his stance. That actually helps it when the ball's up that high. Gets you on top of it. Did a nice job driving this back where it came from, and teammates like it. Now the adventure begins down there at first.
A roller to second. There's 1 and 2. Nicely done by the Cubs. 4-6-3 double play to end the inning and send us to the bottom of the 5th. Happy Father's Day to all the great dads out there as we bring you back to Wrigley Field in Chicago. The Red Sox have a 3-2 lead over the Cubs as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. Help keep dad in the game. Join Major League Baseball in supporting prostate cancer research with the Home Run Challenge. Visit MLBcommunity.org or HomeRunChallenge.org to learn more. By the way, since its inception 16 years ago, this initiative has raised nearly $40 million for the Prostate Cancer Foundation. We have a change for the Red Sox as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Daniel Nava is into the game. He'll take over in left field for Scott Posednik, who may have tweaked something on that double play ball to end the top of the 5th inning. Let's get a look at him coming out of the box. And that's not full speed Posednik right there.
You know, we were looking at each other when he didn't beat out the double play, and then when you look at the replay, you can tell he felt it a step or two out of the box. He knew something was wrong. And that's the way he makes his living with those legs.
And as hot as he's been coming into that bat, hitting 400 since he's been activated by the Red Sox, it's a depressing injury for both the team and player.
Morales pitches into the bottom of the 5th. What a job he has done filling in for the injured Josh Beckett.
It'll be interesting to see how he does now that he was a base runner, had to slide to second.
A strike taken by Luis Valbuena. By the way, we can tell you from the microphones that we have down on the field that we were able to hear Bobby Valentine say to the home plate umpire Brian O'Nora that it was Posednik's groin. Tweaked a groin on the way down to first, so he is out of the game. Last thing the Red Sox need is another injured outfielder. If there is good news, it's that Cody Ross, who is out injured, may be back with the team as early as Tuesday. And Ross certainly gave him a lift earlier this season when he was healthy. Ross coming back from a broken bone in his foot. Boy, he's got nasty stuff for him.
Yeah, exceptional fastball. And then, you know, the breaking ball is good. It's not amazing, but it's really good because it's next to that fastball. And that changeup is coming along. I think they can go both ways with this guy. If they want to go and put him back in the pen, that's one thing. But he could be an effective starter if he can command the ball.
And he has been pounding the strike zone all night with all his pitches.
Bullpen is up. Right-hander Matt Albers begins to throw for the Red Sox.
And getting them to this point in the game, it doesn't upset the routine of your bullpen. They can get to the guys they want to and not get anybody overexposed.
Especially with that off day tomorrow. So even if they had to go with an extra body to get through this game for an extra 1 inning, where it really kills you is you put the bullpen piece on the mound as a starter, and then he doesn't go well, and then the first piece out of the bullpen doesn't go well, then it starts to spiral out of control. But this is well in order for the Red Sox right now.
The Red Sox at the moment a game under 500, 32-33, 8 games back of the New York Yankees in the American League East. The Yankees won again today. The Yankees have now won 9 in a row. They defeated Washington today 4-1, and they allowed only 6 runs in the 3-game series against the Nationals.
And fans in Boston, they not only know the Red Sox record, but they know the Yankees record. And they know how many games you're back of the Yankees. They may not know how many you're back at Tampa or Toronto, but they know what it is with the Yankees.
Up-to-date standings in the American League East. Elsewhere in that division, Baltimore won again today. They beat Atlanta 2-0. The Orioles have won 7 of 8. The Blue Jays defeated the Phillies today 6-2. They swept Philadelphia. And Tampa Bay shut out Miami today 3-0. Boy, tough sledding if you're in the American League East trying to gain on some teams, huh? And another strikeout for Morales, number 8. Well, we're talking American League, some of the stories from around the league, and they all originate in the East Division as the Yankees, as we mentioned, have won their 9th consecutive game. Evan Longoria begins a rehab assignment as he works his way closer towards rejoining the Rays, and the Blue Jays lost 3 starting pitchers to the disabled list in a span of 4 days. The most serious injury appears to belong to Kyle Drabeck, his right elbow. Drew Hutchison, Brandon Morrow also on the DL. And a broken about roller foul off the bat of Mahalan.
You know, you lose one of your pitchers and you feel like, okay, we can go to AAA or we can do something to. But when you lose 3 in 4 days, I mean, that's like a body blow to your whole team.
And you got the rhythm of where you're going to get the piece and where was his last work. You're always looking as a pitching coach, as a general manager, as a manager, where is all the pieces fit? If somebody goes down, where can I go for that guy? But it gets really hard when it's 3.
Yeah. And one team probably taking note, in particular, of what happened in Toronto is the Cubs, because they've got Matt Garza, Ryan Dempster, guys who could be traded. But when you lose so many guys, you start to wonder, if you're Alex Anthopoulos, the GM of the Jays, do you dive in, or is there not that much of a point because you've got so many injuries right now that one guy isn't going to help you?
That's a really fine line. You know, you're trying to show your fans, the guys on your team, that you care. But as a general manager, when you lose 3 pitchers, you got to be realistic.
The 0-2 to Mahalan. Morales has struck out the last 4 batters he's faced and 8 through 4 1/3 tonight as he pitches under the lights here at Wrigley Field. Strikeout number 9.
Well, whatever it is they expected out of Franklin Morales, they have gotten way more. Bobby Valentine looking for innings out of the bullpen, spot start because Josh Beckett goes on the DL. You think you're going to get somebody to go out there here in Wrigley Field in a night game on Sunday Night Baseball out of your pen and give you this kind of performance with 9 Ks? It's pretty special.
Now, that last pitch was not a good curveball.
No, it was a pitcher hitting, and you're just trying to get it over, give it a little spin.
Put a little wrinkle, and it's good enough. But if he throws that pitch to Reed Johnson, we're gonna have a tie game.
Johnson tonight has doubled and scored and also grounded out. Still throwing hard.
The first strikeout of this inning was 96 miles an hour. Then he sawed off a bat and got a strike with it with a 94 mile an hour. That one right there, just mid-90s, solid. And it doesn't. He's barely breaking a sweat.
19 batters faced, 15 first pitch strikes.
And that's got location right there, not just velocity. That's on the edge. Back on the rubber, eyes are focused. The game is moving real slow for him right now. He is locked in.
And I'm sure the Red Sox like the idea of their pitching being left-handed. I mean, the Cubs have struggled so bad against left-handers, and everybody on their bench is sitting there as left-hand hitter.
They're just 3-14, the Cubs are, against left-handed starters this year, and they've hit only .224 as a team against left-handed pitching. Slowly hit to second, and the inning is over. What a job by Morales through 5. 3-2 Red Sox, and we'll see the 2 guys in Pedroia and Ortiz who have done some damage for Boston when we come back. All right, Bert Crucky, thank you very much. 6th inning here at Wrigley. Dustin Pedroia, first pitch swinging. Fly ball to right field. Johnson just shy of the track, makes the grab, 1 down. Pedroia retired for the first time tonight. Mahalam working into the 6th inning for the Cubs. There is now activity in the Cub bullpen down the left field line. The batter is Kevin Youkilis, 0 for 2. As you see, Sean Kemp up and throwing. And the Cubs playing Youkilis to pull right now. Second baseman Barney shading him up the middle. First baseman Baker well off the line against Mahalam, who doesn't throw particularly hard, high 80s. Youkilis tonight, a fly ball and a strikeout.
And I think we've seen the last of Franklin Morales.
Three and 0.
Matt Albers looks like he's warming up to come in the game.
And a strike.
But Matt Albers comes in the game. What a job by Franklin Morales to give Boston this handoff, this lead. And it started out a little rocky. He gave up the run in the first, the man on third, and less than 2 outs.
And I would think as soon as Matt Albers gets in the game, you'll see Andrew Miller up throwing, just so they can counter with all the lefties that Chicago has on the bench.
Miller was up stretching before. Albers is the only reliever who's been throwing. Inside, a ball 4 to Youkilis.
David Ortiz 2 for 2 tonight, a base hit in his first at bat, and he faces Paul Maholm in his second bat, and he's trying to get him out, and he's going to use the whole kitchen sink. He shakes off the cutter, he shakes off the 4-seamer, he shakes off the 2-seamer. He ends up shaking off the curveball and then going to a changeup. It looks like a little slider, but Mahomes likes to cut his changeup to lefties to have it working away, and David Ortiz did a good job staying on it and driving it out of the ballpark.
An RBI single and a home run tonight for David Ortiz. Youkilis at first, 1 down. Pops him up. Valbuena. 2 down.
It's a little cat and mouse right there because he came right back with the same changeup that David hit for a home run, thinking you're not going to see that. I'm going to throw the fastball. No. I threw one. You hit it for a home run. You think I'm not going to throw it. I'm coming right back to it. Little cut changeup. David out in front. Probably David expecting to see something a little firmer since he got a home run on that same exact pitch in the last at bat.
He's got Ortiz talking to himself in the Red Sox dugout. Now strike taken by Mike Aviles, the shortstop, who's 0 for 2. Aren't many guys, Tito, when you look at their setup in the batter's box and how they get ready, there aren't many guys with this much movement. It's coming again.
But as all good hitters, he gets himself into a hitting position, gets that front foot down, and he's a really strong kid.
It's just a timing mechanism.
Yes,
right?
yes, it is. If he can't stay still, he feels like he gets locked up. But if you make a mistake to him, he'll hit it a long way.
Grounder to short. Inning over. To the bottom of the 6th, 2-3-4 coming up for the Cubs. The right-hander Albers coming in for the Red Sox. Welcome back to ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, part of the AL-NL Showdown, presented by State Farm. Wrigley Field in Chicago, the Red Sox and the Cubs. Each team has already won one game in this series. 3-2, Boston leading, bottom 6. New pitcher, Matt Albers, delivers to Darwin Barney, and the ball is booted down at third by Kevin Youkilis.
It didn't look like he got a bad hop. It just looked like he missed it. He's moving his feet, backs up, gets the big. He just clanked it.
Backing up on the ball.
But I mean, he just.
It wasn't high enough on the hop to get lost in the lights at all. Sometimes here at Wrigley in these night games, the lights are pretty intense on the corners. When they get the high hoppers, they have to look at them off to the side. But that, he just looked like you said, a little botch.
Barney aboard, Castro the batter. And a strike at the knees from Matt Albers, part of the Boston bullpen that has been sensational since the first couple of weeks of the season. And you look at everybody's numbers, Tito, up and down the board, they're all contributing.
They've all done great. Matt Albers had a terrific first half last year and kind of tailed off at the end. Not a bad time now, again, to put a runner in motion with a hitter that swings at a lot of pitches and makes contact.
Bobby was quick to point out, Bobby Valentine, the manager of the Red Sox, was quick to point out that the slow start for the bullpen was a lot about those guys were all used to starting and training as starters. And 14 days into the season, these guys are, back-to-back outings in the bullpen, and they're got to really make up for Melanson not doing very well, and the injury to Bailey.
And Andrew Miller down there throwing is just to tell Del Swain, don't start emptying those lefties on that bench. Keep Brian LaHair and David DeJesus right where they are.
See the improvement for the Red Sox bullpen since the third week of April. Miller's been a part of that as well. The guy's always had trouble harnessing his mechanics and his command. Castro with an RBI triple and an RBI double. Barney aboard to lead off the 6th. A little bit low. Albers has also spent time in the big leagues with the Astros and the Orioles before becoming a member of the Red Sox. Morales goes 5 innings tonight, gives up 2 runs. He struck out 9. Runner goes, and a chopper, a fair ball toward the mound. Nobody can make a play on it. It'll be about a 12-foot base hit for Starlin Castro, who's now 3 for 3.
And they put the hit and run on because he's a contact hitter, and he swings, and he put the ball in play. I don't think he expected to get a hit out of this. Good things happen when you play the game right.
Starlin Castro's living right tonight. The bloop double. Now a little 12-foot single.
I think Kelly Shopik thought this was going to be fielded by Matt Albers, and all of a sudden he's got the mat still in his hand when that ball dies. A little mix-up on coming out from behind the plate.
So an error and then an infield hit. 2 on with nobody out for Soriano. Soriano a strikeout and a ground ball tonight. He's hit a dozen home runs, all of them since May the 15th. Wind blowing out. And a guy perfectly capable of turning this game around with one swing of the bat. 0-2.
And Dale Swain sitting over there with all these left-hand hitters on the bench. David DeJesus, Brian LaHair, and Steve Clevenger, some of his better hitters. And he knows the minute he brings them in, Andrew Miller's coming in the game.
Albers in a jam through no fault of his own here this inning. Well, he can hook a ball with the best of them, can he?
Never ceases to amaze me that the fans think they can catch it without a glove.
Everybody's all right. Dad's never tougher than he is on Father's Day at the ballpark. And then kids giving the dad a ball. Well, Soriano keeps fighting.
It's for Matt Albers. If he doesn't get the strikeout, keep the ball down, try to get a double play. That's what his strengths are.
Barney at second, Castro at first, nobody out. Broken bat roller to third, charged by Youkilis to second. They get the out there on a very close play. It'll be a fielder's choice for Soriano, first and third, one down.
Kevin Youkilis, remember, he started this inning off with the error down there at third base, and he stays aggressive here and goes for the lead runner at second. It's close, but they got him. But Youkilis could have taken the easy way out and gone across the diamond to first, but he kept the double play in order by getting that runner at second. It's a nice aggressive play right there to back up the error.
Cubs just 1 for 6 tonight now with the runners in scoring position. Jeff Baker will stay. And he hits a chopper back toward the mound. And another misplay by the Red Sox. The Cubs have tied it.
Oh, and that's something you go over and over. The pitcher looks back. We see him every time there's a runner first. Who has the bag? And they miscommunicated. They both went after it.
Albers makes a nice aggressive turn and throws it right back over the bag, and whoever's got it, Pedroia's going to get this ball. He's going to be able to come across the bag to the shortstop side and make the turn. If not, Aviles is going to be able to come right across in the middle.
Pedroia had the bag there, but Aviles was coming in to make the play if it went over Albers' head, and he got himself in no man's land. Yes, yep. Exactly.
Bobby V not happy. The scoring on the play is fielder's choice RBI because you cannot assume a double play. And then the error is charged to Aviles, the shortstop, for dropping the ball, allowing Soriano to be safe at second. The game is tied. And the batter is Mather. And this goes back to what you were talking about, Terry. Dale Swaim could be making moves here. He could be bringing in his left-handed batters. Then he'd get Andrew Miller. So Bobby Valentine has said, okay, here's your choice. Do what you want to do. And Swaim has decided not to bring in the lefties. He'd rather have the right-handed hitters facing the righty and Albers.
Their left-handers on the bench that are normally their regular players are struggling so much versus left-hand pitching that he's just going to let these guys play it out.
Right now, the way things are going for the Red Sox, if the Cubs can just put the ball in play, good things are going to happen. 2 errors and a little dribbler of an infield hit for the Cubs already this inning. Runners are going. The ball put in play. Albers to first for the second out. As the runners advance, Soriano aggressively stealing third, making a big turn, too, on that throw to first base.
That looked like the old Soriano from years back.
So second and third, 2 down for the catcher Wellington Castillo. The Cubs, thanks to the generosity of the Red Sox in the field this half inning, have tied the game at 3 here in the bottom of the 6th. And now Mark Melancon, a right-hander, has joined Andrew Miller in the pen. Melancon originally was supposed to be the 8th inning guy for the Red Sox. Pitched so poorly at the beginning of the season that he was down in the minors within a couple of weeks. Pitched very well at AAA Pawtucket and now back in the big leagues.
Albert's ball, he is really sinking it good. I mean, they are just skimming the top of the ball. Their ground balls probably total, I don't know, 120 feet the way they've been.
His ball has so much life through the zone downward.
It's really heavy. I'll get you play catch with him. It's like hard to catch.
There's not been a hard hit ball in the inning. And another grounder. And this time the play is made and the inning is over. The Cubs, though, get one. All tied up at 3.
Long ball. Oh, it's tattooed! Back, the State Farm Home Run Derby airs Monday, July 9th at 8 p.m. on ESPN.
Always one of the baseball season's most popular events, the 2012 State Farm Home Run Derby from Kansas City, Monday, July the 9th at 8 Eastern on ESPN. Changes for the Cubs. Reed Johnson moves from right field to center field. David DeJesus comes on in right field, put him in the 9th spot of the batting order. And the new pitcher for the Cubs, who goes into the 6th spot of the order, is right-hander Sean Camp. We are tied at 3, top 7. Darnell McDonald fouls it back, 0-2. Tito, you saw Camp a lot with the Blue Jays when you were with the Red Sox. What do you like about him?
You know what? He'd go out there, and he's not very big. He doesn't throw very hard, but he can get left-handers out. He sinks it. He throws a changeup. And he found a way to exist through the AL East, which isn't easy to do.
Ball ripped down the left field line, but just foul.
And he pitched a lot of games in Toronto, and you look at him and you see 89, 90, and he just gets you out. I'm sure Theo Epstein saw the same thing. That's why he's here.
Yeah, there's long been that notion, Earl, if you can make it in the American League East, you can make it anywhere.
Exactly, with all the powerhouse offenses there and the ballparks to pitch through, and you can pitch through those lineups and not give up. Give up some runs, but not give up. You've got character and you understand how to pitch.
The 0-2 to Darnell McDonald. Breaking ball hit in the air to left center field. Trouble. Off the wall on a bounce. Soriano spins and fires towards second. Not in time. McDonald is aboard with a leadoff double. And we've got a pinch hitter announced into the game now. Jared Saltalamacchia is going to bat for Kelly Shopik. We also have the Cub bullpen going. Left-hander James Russell is up. Dale Swain considering his options. Bobby Valentine doing the same. Saltalamacchia, who homered yesterday, his 12th of the season. A productive year for the Boston catcher.
I thought Dale Swain might go get his lefty right here to turn Saltalamacchia around. You got Kalish up. You got a pinch hitter in Daniel Nava, who's much better left-hand hitter.
Kalish on deck. Saltalamacchia will face Camp. And he lines a base hit into right field. McDonald will be held at third. And Saltalamacchia goes into second as the cutoff man Baker could not handle the throw.
And the Red Sox caught a huge break there.
Yep.
I think Saltalamacchia was assuming there was going to be a play at the plate, ran with his head down, and boy, they caught a huge break there.
The base hit. He's checking over there. He sees him running, but Jerry Royster went way down the line, held him up late because he don't want to run into an out this early in the inning, and Salty thought he assumed, and he's lucky he wasn't out from here to wherever.
Now Dale Swain will make the change. The Red Sox threatening to reclaim the lead here in the top of the 7th. Russell on his way in from the Cubs pen. Baseball presented by Taco Bell is brought to you by Gatorade. Gatorade knows it all begins within. Win from within. And the all-new Mazda CX-5 with 35 highway miles per gallon. Back in Chicago, Dan Schulman, Terry Francona, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. Interleague Baseball on ESPN. The Red Sox and Cubs. The Red Sox have runners at second and third with nobody out here in the 7th. Darnell McDonald began the inning with a double. Went to third on a base hit by Jared Saltalamacchia, who took second on what was originally ruled an error on Jeff Baker when he dropped the ball, but the scoring has now been changed to just second on the throw. Either way, 2 on, nobody out. Left-hander James Russell, who has stranded every inherited runner that he has inherited. I said inherited twice. Yes. I worked myself into a corner there, and I couldn't get out of it.
And you're such a wordsmith.
He has stranded every runner he has inherited this year. You weren't helping me at all, by the way.
I'm looking at the infield. I'm looking at the Cubs infield again because this is interesting. Second and third, nobody out. They're playing that kind of that halfway where they're putting some pressure on Darnell McDonald and Jerry Royster, and he's trying to get Saltalamacchia's attention to tell him what they're doing so he doesn't run Darnell off the bag.
Ryan Kalish, a strikeout and a ground out. Will Middlebrooks is out in the on-deck circle for the Red Sox. Reaching for it, Looper to center field, a base hit. 1 run in. Saltalamacchia to third. Boston leads.
It was a good piece of hitting and good base running by Saltalamacchia there to get to third base to read that ball. He got off second base, but I'll tell you what, you want one breaking ball in the dirt, he waves at you, can't come back with a better one. I know that's a ball, but it's higher and not as wide as the first one. So you commit the hitter on the first one, you make him swing and miss wider. When you then bring the ball closer to the strike zone, even though you made him look terrible, it's not as good a pitch.
So Boston has the lead back. And trouble still brewing for the Cubs. 2 on, nobody out. Here's Middlebrooks, hitting .289 with 6 homers in 128 at-bats. Came up to the bigs when Youkilis went on the DL and just has consistently swung a potent bat ever since. In the air to center field. Not that deep. Saltalamacchia will tag. Here he comes. Here comes the throw. And now a throw goes into center field on the return play from Castillo, the catcher. So the run will score, and Kalish will wind up at third.
And those are the things that are going to drive Dale Slame, give him a headache. That's part of the growing pains. I mean, when you compound, this is just a sac fly. It's 1 run, but now you missed a cutoff man. You have no play at second. You throw it anyway. And an aggressive runner like Kalish ends up on third. Now you got to bring the infield in. You compounded mistakes.
So a sac fly for Middlebrooks to make it 5-3. Kalish goes to second on the throw home and goes to third on the error charged to the catcher Castillo. And here's Nava, his first at bat of the night. Gets the bunt down on the squeeze, and they'll score the run easily. 6-3.
And you could see it coming. You could see it coming all the way.
And just like that, 3 runs in a heartbeat for the Red Sox.
That's Daniel Nava's side of the plate where he doesn't swing the bat real well. They went through a bunch of signs, got Nava's attention, and they executed it very well.
3 hits in the inning, an error, a sac fly, and a squeeze. And just like that, 6-3 Red Sox. With 2 outs, nobody on, in the batter Pedroia.
Bobby V did a good job getting it on right there in the first pitch. Cubs on their heels, kind of the ball flying around the infield and outfield, and then not really on your toes to be up, heads up for a squeeze right there. So come right on the first pitch before they catch their breath.
And a pop-up. Who's got it? Barney, staggering, will make the catch to end the inning. 7th inning stretch. The Red Sox lead 6-3. Welcome back to Chicago as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. High above Wrigley Field. The Cubs trail the Red Sox 6-3. This is your view if you're on one of the rooftop buildings from Waveland Avenue. Beyond the left field fence looking toward the right field corner. You can also be on the other side of Sheffield on a rooftop looking in from right field. Pretty good view. Pretty cool place.
You know, we came up the elevator to get up here to the press box, then walk along the left field line here down the upper deck, and what do we say to each other? Never get tired of it. All baseball. As soon as you walk in, all baseball.
Grass needs a little work. They'll take care of that after the concert this year, but other than that, it's as pretty as it always is. Left-hander Andrew Miller is into the game.
And this sets up really well for the Red Sox. Valbuena, De Jesus, and the 9-hole left-handed. This has worked out about as well as they could have hoped.
Hi.
Miller, a guy who came up as a big-time prospect. Great stuff. Was supposed to be a starter. First-round pick by the Tigers. Eventually went to Florida going the other way in the Miguel Cabrera deal. Didn't really work out there after a few years. Career ERA high in the 5s, about 5.80 coming into this season. What has turned it around for him?
He's very cerebral. You know, when he was a high draft pick out of the University of North Carolina by Detroit, he threw way across his body, and I think they tried to straighten that out, which is understandable. And he really, his velocity crept down as he went to the Marlins. And now it seems like he's found a happy medium where he's still a little bit across his body, but because he's a lot more athletic kid than people realize, and he has a real good feel for his breaking ball.
Or there's always been a feeling that left-handers take longer to develop and that tall pitchers take longer to develop, and he's both.
Yeah, the left-handed maybe zoning in on the strike zone of what you need to throw here, and then he's tall, and that's hard to get that lever system lined up sometimes. What I really like about his delivery now is it looks like his leg kick and his shoulder movement, they really match his arm slot. I never really thought that the leg kick and the way the shoulders rotated around the hips here at the end, the way the glove comes across, and now the arm slot's nice at a low 3/4, not sidearm, high sidearm or low 3/4.
Oops.
And I think he really does have a chance to get the ball in the area now.
As he throws one to the backstop.
Well, that's okay. You know, he got it within the area code there.
And this will get the bullpen going.
So the leadoff man is aboard for the Cubs here in the bottom of the 7th. It seems like these teams are kind of taking turns trying to give the game away. A lot of it has been with defense tonight as Melancon gets up in the Boston pen.
When you score runs, you come out the next inning, you want to shut the team down, and by walking the first hitter is not the way to do it.
David De Jesus gets his first at bat. The runner is going. The throw down. They got him. Valbuena trying to take advantage of the ball bouncing away from Saltalamacchia, who's catching for the first inning tonight after pinch hitting last inning, and Saltalamacchia throws him out.
This is a strong throw. The ball gets away from him right here, but he keeps presence of mind to say, you know what, I got a shot. Gets his feet lined up even before he picks the ball up, and he guns it right on the bag. Tell you what, the little deke slide out there, he might have been better off just sliding straight in. He's going to give him one arm and take it away and use the left arm to get in there. If he just goes straight into the bag, he might be safe. Comes down and he goes for the, it just stuck on him.
And the Cubs are going to be kicking themselves here. I mean, Andrew Miller's trying to create a rally kind of by himself. I mean, right there, you got to be 100% sure that you're going to be safe.
Not technically a caught stealing because he didn't try to advance until the ball bounced away from the catcher. So he is out 2-6, caught advancing, caught trying to advance is the official scoring on the play. And here is De Jesus. On the season hitting .261 with a couple of homers.
But like a lot of the Chicago hitters, really struggles against left-handers, hitting 143. LaHair hitting just a hair above 100. And that's why they're 3-14.
And there it is, backing those numbers up. Miller shaking off Saltalamacchia a couple of times. Down the left field line, and the catch is made by Nava. 2 down. The ALNL showdown continues this week on ESPN and ESPN2. First, tomorrow night, 7 Eastern here on ESPN. It's the Atlanta Braves heading to the Bronx to take on the New York Yankees. Wednesday night baseball at 7 on ESPN2. It'll be the Cardinals and the Tigers. Monday night baseball presented by USAA. Wednesday night baseball on ESPN2. Both games at 7 Eastern. Melanson will be the latest pitcher in from the Boston pen when we come back. Here in Chicago, we'll look at some of the highlights tonight. A home run in the 4th inning by David Ortiz, giving the Red Sox a 3-2 lead. The Cubs would get it back. Some sloppy defense from Boston. This error charge to Mike Aviles. A run scores to tie to 3, but then the Red Sox get 3 in the top of the 7th, including a run on a squeeze by Daniel Nava as Bobby Valentine's Red Sox execute. And they've got the lead here in the 7th inning. Let's take a look now at our game track. Brought to you by Ram. Each team has won once in the series. Boston holding the lead here tonight. How about Franklin Morales coming out of the pen in place of the injured Josh Beckett and delivering a gem over 5 innings. Big night for Starlin Castro with a triple, a double, and a single, although the double was a bloop and the single was a squib. But he'll take both. As the Red Sox go to the pen again, right-hander Mark Melanson, who pitched himself right out of Boston and down to the minor leagues in just a couple of weeks. Look at how ugly the numbers are. And he's pitched twice well since he got back. He couldn't get anybody out early in the year.
When he was here, it was up and near the middle, and down in AAA, it was down and by the corners, and that's what Bobby Valentine said it's been so far. And there it is right there. That's where he's been living since he's turned it around.
Now, what this does, though, for the Cubs, it allows them to use their left-hand hitters because Franklin Morales was the Red Sox second lefty. So they're out of left-handers down there.
And a swing and a miss, 1-2. The count on Reed Johnson. 2 outs, nobody on. A right-hander Melanson just coming into the game. And the bullpen is going again, as Bobby Valentine has right-hander Scott Atchison up in the pen. Checking his charts, his combinations and his permutations, working over the bubble gum.
Permutations.
Combinations and permutations.
Wow. I'm bringing a math term next time I'm with you.
What was that other profession you were thinking about doing? What was that called?
Actuarial studies. You know what's great? Tom Archer just told me in my headset in case I forgot what it was.
I thought that was running a funeral home.
It's like 3 steps removed from that.
Yeah.
Whoa. Johnson gets drilled on a 1-2 pitch. And Brian O'Nora out from behind the plate, just making sure everybody's calm.
I don't think that ended up where it was intended. There's no message there. That just got away.
So Johnson is aboard. Now, if you're Melanson and you've struggled and you've just come back from the minors and you're brought in, and right away there's another guy up in the pen. I mean, is that, you see that here? You can't avoid seeing it here. Is that in the back of your mind?
I think it is. But again, Bobby Valentine has a responsibility to the Red Sox also.
Right.
And they have a day off tomorrow. And he's got some guys down there that have been pretty good. I mean, Vicente Padilla, Alfredo Aceves, they've been very reliable. Scott Atchison has been remarkable.
There's Aceves, the closer. At the knees for a strike. 1-1 the count on Darwin Barney. Barney denied a pop-up, base hit, and he's reached on an error. He scored a couple of runs. Starlin Castro, who's a home run shy of the cycle, is on deck.
And Darwin Barney, again, along the Cub lines, hits right-handers better than left-handers.
You know, getting the guy on a roll, rebuilding his confidence with Melanson and Bobby Valentine's relationship. You know, he brings him in with a lead. That gives you confidence. He brings him in with 2 out, nobody on. All right, I've got a chance to get a 0 and get us in the dugout. And he gives him a situation that he can get him up the tunnel with a positive outing. And Bobby is, not only do you do workload and matchups, but confidence in getting guys on a roll.
Two and two.
And the hard thing is, and Mark Melanson, his last 2 outings in the big leagues have been good, but he's going to have the ability to look up at the scoreboard and see a high ERA for a while and not let it get inside his head.
And you can't bring it down in 1 inning or 2 innings. Just like a hitter, you can't hit a 5-run homer when you're up there at the plate. You've got to just work at it.
20 saves a year ago with Houston. Bouncer back to the mound. And Melanson gets the out he needed. 7 in the books at Wrigley. It remains the Red Sox 6 and the Cubs 3. Welcome back to Wrigley Field, and again, a happy Father's Day to all the dads out there watching baseball tonight with their loved ones. Tonight's aerial coverage is brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Eighth inning at Wrigley, 6-3 Red Sox. Right-hander Jairo Asensio is into the game to pitch for the Cubs. Kevin Youkilis leading off the inning for Boston. Asensio claimed off waivers June the 1st from Cleveland. He's also had some big league time with Atlanta. The pitch runs inside, and the count 2-1 on Youkilis with David Ortiz on deck.
I think what we'll see is when David Ortiz, if he gets on base, most likely Nick Punto will run for him, go to third base, and they'll move Youkilis to first.
Youkilis rips the ball into left field for a base hit. And you can hear how many Red Sox fans are in the house. That's the easiest way to find out how many Red Sox fans are on the road when Youkilis does something, to hear how many of them are chanting his name. And again, Cub fans say it's probably fewer tonight than there were Saturday or Friday. But a ton of Red Sox fans and even more Tigers fans. Justin Verlander said it felt like a home game when he pitched here this week.
Well, I know you walk in our lobby of our hotel. It felt like we were in Boston.
Here's Ortiz, 2 for 3, including a home run. When you manage the Red Sox, I think I know the answer to this question. What city did you see the most Red Sox fans in? What visiting city?
Baltimore.
That's what I thought.
Baltimore. They made packages, and people, because Baltimore wasn't drawing real well at the time, and people enjoyed going there. It's a nice stadium.
Ball and a strike on Ortiz.
I made the mistake a couple of nights of, after tough losses, walking back to the hotel. Well, I'll tell you, some of those people will tell you where you messed up, managing.
So you had talk radio the whole way home, huh?
Well, you get a lot of help in 6 blocks.
Big swing by Ortiz, 1-2. Just you walking by yourself from the ballpark back to the hotel?
Sometimes it's relaxing. You think it would be relaxing.
Yeah.
I'd give my briefcase to Jack McCormick, the traveling secretary, and walk back thinking it would be relaxing, and never realizing that I was going to get 30 bench coaches.
So how long did it take you to realize that? Did you make more than one walk and thought, I'll go a new path?
I tried different ways. It didn't work.
They are here in big numbers here in Chicago. The Red Sox and the Cubs, with Boston leading 6-3. And down and in, a full count.
Now, Youkilis doesn't run like he used to at all, and he was never a burner. But I wouldn't be surprised if they put him in motion. Asensio was really slow to plate. David Ortiz swinging the bat really well. You're up. If they're ever going to do it, this will be the time they'll do it.
Youkilis the lead, being held by Baker. Nobody out in the inning. Not going, and a swing and a ground ball into the shift. And a little indecision there. They only get the 1 out. As Castro, the shortstop, was trying to decide, do I flip to Valbuena, the third baseman? And eventually he decided just to make the play himself.
And again, you're playing a shift there where guys maybe aren't real comfortable, and Castro's kicking himself right now. But there was some indecision. He didn't. Do I tag him? Do I go to? And lucky he got an out.
Yeah, Kevin Youkilis' feet comes in and touches
that
the bag.
If he slides instead of trying to break it up, he's going to be safe.
That's a weird play all the way around. Here's Aviles. So Ortiz at first on the fielder's choice, 1 down in the inning. Aviles is 0 for 3.
And I really thought they'd run for Ortiz here, just because he doesn't play first base all that much, and you know you've gotten out of him what you need.
Got Adrian Gonzalez too, but Bobby Valentine told us before the game he kind of wanted to give Gonzalez a couple of days off. He's been playing a lot of outfield. That's not something that he normally does. They've got an off day tomorrow. 2 bench players left for the Red Sox, Gonzalez and Punto.
Franklin Morales, who made a huge impact on this game coming out of the bullpen.
Am I missing something, or are the fashion police, are they easing off on this this stuff in the dugout?
T-shirts in the dugout?
Man, I like that.
You like?
Jeez, those guys used to drive me crazy.
The fashion police?
Yeah.
Remember when Joe Madden, does he still wear the hoodie? Remember the fashion police got him? I think it was MLB fashion police said he can't wear a hoodie, and I think he had a jersey on under the hoodie, but he, you know, there wasn't.
Terry liked to wear the pullover windbreaker type thing,
Yeah.
and sometimes he did not have a jersey on underneath it at all times, I don't think.
They actually checked me in the 5th inning of a game at Yankee Stadium.
Who are these people?
It was the fashion police. And Jeter was on second.
Yeah.
And I told that guy, I said, if he steals third, I'm going to assassinate you.
Fashion police? What do you think?
And I told Joe Torre the story, and he thought it was hilarious. So when Joe took over, I didn't get any more letters.
By the way, that's a violation.
Is that a violation?
That's a violation.
Fine?
That tie is a foul, even if you have it on right.
Oh, God, look at you. It's the same colors as maybe like the Johnny Carson curtain back when he was on late night.
There's ball 4. First and second, one out. Here in the 8th inning at Wrigley Field, we'd like to welcome those of you who just may be tuning into Sunday Night Baseball in the aftermath of the Heat's win over the Thunder to take a 2-1 lead in the series. Boston are leading Chicago 6-3 in the rubber match of this series. Darnell McDonald swinging a ground ball to short, bobble to second, safe. And an error charged on Castro.
When Dale Swain been raving about how Castro had been playing and how sure-handed and how he's making all the plays, and he's had a rough inning.
The big story of the night really is the starting pitcher tonight for the Red Sox, Franklin Morales, who came out of the bullpen because Josh Becker just went on the DL with some tendonitis in his shoulder. And Morales, not only did he go 5 innings in his first start in the big leagues in 3 years, but he struck out 9 batters. Oral, he was outstanding.
He pounded the strike zone there. We just saw a whole bunch of 2-strike pitches. He was up with the fastball to get people out, down, and he used his 3rd pitch tonight. That changeup, those last 2 pitches, really was effective. Out of the bullpen, mainly fastball, curveball, but that changeup, he really brought that along, and manager Bobby Valentine really impressed that upon him that today.
Ortiz, the runner at third. Aviles out at second, and McDonald is at first. 1 out. Some sloppy fielding this inning from the Cubs. Last inning as well. The Red Sox have had their moments in the field tonight. Chance to really break it open for Saltalamacchia, but the count is 0-2.
And in this ballpark, getting another run is always welcome. And with those flags, you'll take every run you can get.
Well, there's only one time it's not a hitter's park, and that's when the flags are blowing in. So even when they're blowing straight down or slightly out, ball carries pretty well here.
Those alleys are really reachable.
Yeah, only 368 to the power alleys here at Wrigley. Saltalamacchia found the bleachers last night. 0-2 swing, ground ball to first. There's one. And they cannot turn the double play, so a run comes in to score. Fielder's choice RBI, 7-3.
For a big man, Salty runs pretty good.
And he smelled that RBI. And Darwin Barney did an unbelievable job of getting over there, but he might have gotten in the way. But those instincts for him to even have a chance to be there are really impressive.
So the lead up to 4 now for the Red Sox. They got 3 last inning, 1 more here in the 8th. First and third, 2 down, and the batter is Kalish. Had an RBI single his last time up. Tonight is 2012 Major League debut.
And if this kid can stay injury free, and I know it's been a long road for him, his future is really bright. He's like a sponge.
Shoulder and neck problems costing him all of last year, at least in terms of Major League time. Count 0-2.
And I asked him today, about his neck, and he said good enough. He's a tough kid. Got a little bit of Trot Nixon in him.
Dirt dog, you mean? That kind of stuff, yeah?
Left-hander, plays hard, gets dirty.
Everybody plays hurt. It's the injured ones that have to go on the DL, but everybody's got aches and pains.
But to be able to produce while you're nicked up, that's a lot of guys can't do that.
It is the difference sometimes between an everyday player and a utility player or a bench player. They just can't hold up, and they need to be perfect to produce.
High fly ball center field. Johnson still going back, makes the catch on the track to end the inning. To the bottom of the 8th at Wrigley. Red Sox 7, Cubs 3. Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. And in part by Seeking a Friend for the End of the World in theaters Friday. And Ram Trucks. Guts, Glory, Ram. Back at Wrigley Field, Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. Bottom of the 8th inning, and the visiting Red Sox holding a 7-3 lead. Changes for the Red Sox. New third baseman Nick Punto But it's not Kevin Youkilis who goes across the field to play first. Youkilis is out of the game. David Ortiz is still in the game at first base. The new pitcher is right-hander Scott Atchison. Atchison tied for second in the American League with 35 1/3 innings pitched already this season. You can see how stingy he's been all season long. What makes him good, Tito?
He throws strikes. He works quick. He throws his breaking ball, and then he throws his fastball, and he kind of pitches backwards. And he's having a terrific year. And he's had to earn everything he's gotten in the big leagues. And he's so reliable.
Starlin Castro is the batter. He's going to line a ball to right field. It'll be caught by McDonald. One down. Let's go down to Buster Olney now for more on Castro.
Theo Epstein, the Cubs president, has made it clear this summer he's not interested in trading Starlin Castro. But, guys, I've talked with general managers with other teams who do think that during this upcoming offseason he will talk about possibly trading Castro for a couple of reasons. One, right now the Cubs need a volume of prospects, and Castro could be flipped for 2 or 3 really good young players. And two, other executives are wondering if Castro really fits the way Theo likes his hitters to be, which are more patient hitters who draw walks. Castro, of course, only 6 walks this season.
And Soriano with the ground ball, 2 down. That is remarkable that in this, the 66th game for the Cubs, that a guy who bats near the top of the order and has played in every game has 6 walks the whole season.
He's got a magic wand. That's what Dale Swaim said. And tell you what, he's got one of those guys who's got a steering wheel on the ball. Once he hits it, he finds holes. He hits the ball hard. If he gets a little more plate discipline, he'll probably hit for a lot more power too, because he'll get better pitches. But if you trade him for 2 top prospects, you're hoping to get somebody like him back. So I don't really see how you can trade somebody with that much ability and that young.
Well, I think they want to build their team around him. I just think they want him to learn to swing at more strikes so he can be more productive and not just hit a bunch of singles, because I think they all feel like he's got some power in there.
But they just fired Rudy Jaramillo because of a philosophical difference. Not that Rudy doesn't know how to teach hitting, isn't a great hitting instructor. They just said there might have been a philosophical difference there, and maybe a new philosophy. He improves that part of his game, and that discipline will be there.
3 for 4 tonight, has committed an error. And Steve Clevenger comes up as a pinch hitter for Baker, and Atchison over in a hurry to make the play unassisted. That didn't take long. 3 up, 3 down. Go the Cubs in the bottom of the 8th. Brisk business in Wrigleyville, but the Cubs are trailing. At Wrigley, the Red Sox trying to make it 2 out of 3 over the Cubs. They've got a 7-3 lead. Coming up next here on ESPN, stay tuned for SportsCenter. Some of the big stories they'll be covering. Webb Simpson, his first career major as he wins the U.S. Open. The Yankees win again. They sweep Washington. They've won 9 in a row. And the Miami Heat take Game 3 in the NBA Finals. 91-85 over OKC. They lead the series 2-1. Staying in the game at first base for the Cubs is Steve Clevenger after pinch hitting for Jeff Baker. Boy, with all the hand-wringing and the turmoil and the questions, the Miami Heat are up 2-1 in the finals right now.
Yeah, LeBron James had another good night.
He better, because he gets dissected more than anybody I've ever seen for a guy that good.
29 points, and wow, what a great passer, too.
And a strike at the knees on Nick Punto, getting his first at bat of the night. The count is 1-2.
There's a pretty big story in sports that Bo Hostler, the 17-year-old of the U.S. Open, shot 9 over. He's only 8 shots off the lead. It's pretty good for a kid.
You imagine playing with guys like Tiger Woods, and I mean,
how about what you
guys
said?
at senior in high school. He was excited because they gave him a car he could drive,
and mom let him.
Yeah, I mean, come on. What poise that kid had.
Still in braces. He's going to go back for his senior year. Just finished his junior year.
I think his prom date just got better.
Those girls that don't date guys with braces, they might have an exception.
He's still a manager. He's thinking 3 steps ahead.
Oh, yeah. And he's a 4-point student. He's just a brilliant kid.
Full count on Punto.
I saw him do the interview in the post round yesterday with Bob Costas, and he was very articulate and very poised.
7-3 lead for the Red Sox over the Cubs. The Braves and Yankees tomorrow night on Monday Night Baseball. The Cardinals and Tigers on Wednesday Night Baseball. And we will have the Yankees and the Mets 1 week from tonight on Sunday Night Baseball. There's a base hit up the middle for Punto. And he's thinking about to. Made a big turn before he puts the brakes on.
Who's our pitchers tomorrow night, Dan? Yankees, Braves.
Tomorrow night? Get back to that in 1 second. Let's update the AL-NL Showdown presented by State Farm. And how about the Boston Red Sox? You were their manager for most of this. A Major League best 99-56 in interleague play since 2004. Yet you told us that in National League parks, you'd have a guy like David Ortiz. You're having to lose one of your better hitters or play guys out of position more than most other teams did.
But we feasted at home. We kept our head above water on the road, and when teams would come into Fenway, we would really have our way.
Strike taken by Nava. Tomorrow night, Sabathia is scheduled to start for the Yankees on Monday Night Baseball. And for Atlanta, Mike Minor. And if all goes according to plan, which it rarely does in baseball, we'll get Sabathia and R.A. Dickey.
That might be.
How about that? I got a chance to be fun.
Come on, Weather.
And I'm going to miss that one. Doggone it.
Yeah, you'll be at the College World Series. Yep. We'll have Mr. Kruk with us at Citi Field next week.
We'll keep your seat warm.
Okay. I'm getting a little nervous. Krukster's good people. You'll have fun.
Looks like Adrian Gonzalez might get an at-bat off the bench.
How's that play when you promise a guy a day off, but then you might use him?
You know what, though?
Some guys like it.
Yeah, and if he's in an RBI situation, it's a lot better.
It's a lot better.
Pitcher spot 2 spots away. He's the last remaining bench player. Base hit into right field. First and second.
It's getting better for Adrian right now, huh?
Yeah, Bobby, I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm feeling loose now, Skip.
Pedroia the batter, Gonzalez out into the on-deck circle. Guys, with all that has happened to the Red Sox, the injuries and the struggles, a little turmoil here and there, if they win tonight, they're at 500 and 4 out of a wild card spot.
You know what, and you're right, it can change in a hurry. It's just, there's nothing little in Boston. There's no little story.
And they're about to get real talented without having to make a trade, just by getting healthy.
Cody Ross, Carl Crawford.
And getting Ellsbury back.
Ellsbury will be huge.
Ellsbury arguably maybe the best player in baseball last year.
He was the best position player in baseball. You know, Justin Verlander wins the MVP, but in the American League for sure, he was the second best player.
0-2 on Pedroia.
Adrian Gonzalez, who's in the on-deck circle, really has not produced to his level. Strikeouts and walks are about the same as last year, but the home runs and RBIs are way down, so he could catch fire. Get back to the numbers on the back of his baseball card.
And you make a good point, because he's got too good a swing not to.
Yeah. So that's almost a guy like, you know, he's been here but really hasn't had healthy numbers. Another way to get better. The real key for them is going to be their starting pitching. Can they stay consistent enough? Because he's probably going to score enough runs. And
I may be in the minority here. I still think, and I said this earlier, their best reliever is in AAA right now. That's Daniel Bard. I mean, he's a game changer in the 7th and 8th innings.
Bobby V, when we talked to him before the game, said his status, the next step for him is still to be determined. How long will he be down in the minors? Will he continue to pitch in relief as he has been in the minors? Pedroia with a fly ball to left field. In comes Soriano for out number 1.
Kerry, I got a question for you. How does 3 left-handed starters play for the Red Sox if Dubront, Lester, and say Morales is groomed as a starter, and you want to leave Bard in the bullpen when he comes back, and maybe Beckett comes back healthy and Dice K is the odd man out?
I think it's great. I think the more left-handers you have, the better. I always wonder why they want to split up the lefties. You hear managers say, I want to split up my lefties. I would love to have a back-to-back-to-back, because you force the opposing manager to make decisions and play guys you don't necessarily want to, because you don't want to sit guys for 2 or 3 days in a row.
How's that playing a home series with the left field wall being so close and all the right-handed hitters?
They better learn a change-up and cut that ball in.
Pretty good against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, though.
And you know what, Oral? The ballparks now, I mean, Fenway is a pretty fair ballpark. A lot of these new ballparks, man, they play so small. There's no foul territory. You know, the fans are right on top of the field. Fenway's a lot more fair than a lot of these new ballparks.
Easy to say, tougher to convince a pitcher standing out of the mound, though, looking at that 37-foot monster?
I will admit there's a lot of days where it looks short.
Yeah, and the numbers back up what you're saying. I mean, people talk about all the high fly balls that, well, the screen's gone, but land in the seats above Fenway. But there are some rockets hit off the wall that are home runs in other parks that are singles at Fenway.
Exactly. Yeah. You're right. It's actually a fair place to pitch. Yeah. It gives you a big place out in right center and, in the alley. And if you make a mistake, you pay for it.
But it sure seems like there are a lot of games there that, it's 11-9 in the 5th inning.
There's some young visiting pitchers that come through there and don't leave with a good taste in their mouth.
Yeah. You don't often see visiting teams cutting down their, sending a reliever down, bringing up a bench player before a series at Fenway. This is a big key, obviously. Adrian Gonzalez, some incredible numbers in San Diego, and wound up with great numbers last year. Tailed off a little bit at times at the end, if memory serves, but still at well over 300, drove in 117 runs, and just has not put up the same kind of numbers this year. Did he go? He did not. And people wondering, is it the shoulder? Is it a mechanical issue?
He plays every day. And he's like, we talked about, he's played 17 games in the outfield. I'm sure that's been hard on his legs because he's just not used to it. And he's a very good first baseman, but he's got too good a swing to stay where he is all year.
His last 62 games at Fenway, his average is down 140 some points from where it was when he first became a Red Sox.
Full count.
He's probably, he's a good hitter anywhere. I mean, he was a good hitter in Petco, which is the biggest ballpark in baseball. But his swing is tailored for Fenway.
If you were going to create a fantasy situation to move a hitter to a certain park, he might have been the #1 hitter to move to Fenway, just from the spray charts and everything and the way he approaches the game.
Runners are going. Swing and a miss and no throw. So a double steal for the Red Sox on the second out of the inning.
And that may allow them to walk Ortiz right now.
MLB.TV, baseball everywhere. Watch almost 100 live out-of-market games each week on your favorite devices. Visit MLB.TV for details. And as Terry predicted, as a dad and his son here on Father's Day, talk a little baseball strategy maybe. They will put Ortiz on. Red Sox fans booing. Dale Swaim, they'll obviously playing the percentages, and they'll have a go at Aviles, the on-deck hitter.
This was the one thing when we had Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz back-to-back really going good early on in 04 and 05. The one thing we tried to manage was to make sure both of them got a chance to hit. You know, even sometimes really taking away some of the aggressiveness on the bases just so they'd have a chance to not lose their at-bat.
How did you decide? And I think most of the time Ortiz hit ahead of Ramirez, I believe. And how did you decide who to hit ahead of who?
They both wanted to hit third.
Of course they did.
And I called them in together. And I explained to them, I said, guys, both of you can't hit third. And David said, yeah, and Manny kind of looked at me. And I said, you guys tell me, and I'll put you wherever, but both of you can't hit third. And we worked it out.
Coin flip.
Oh, yeah, I got it. There's more to that
paper,
story
scissors.
That we gotta hear, man.
Manny said, I'll hit fourth. I said, okay. Before he gets to change his mind, I said, thanks for the meeting.
Strike taken by Aviles. 7-3 Boston, top of the ninth, bases loaded, 2 outs. Aviles 0 for 3 with a walk tonight. Reaches for it. It's a ground ball to short. Inning over. Going to the bottom of the ninth at Wrigley. And it'll be Aceves coming on for the Red Sox, trying to protect a 4-run lead.
And the spoilers have nothing to lose. Group C Elimination Day tomorrow.
Euro 2012 continues tomorrow on ESPN and ESPN2. A big day for Croatia, Spain, and Italy, with so much on the line for those 3 countries. We go to the bottom of the ninth in Chicago. The Red Sox lead the Cubs 7-3. Alfredo Aceves is on for Boston. Tony Campana, the batter for the Cubs. pinch hitting in the pitcher spot. Adrian Gonzalez stays in the game at first base for the Red Sox in place of David Ortiz. So Bobby Valentine has used all 5 bench players and 5 of his 7 relievers in this game, including Aceves, his closer, on in a non-save situation here with a 4-run lead. And a little looper. That's a kind of a prototypical Tony Campana hit. One of the fastest guys in the majors. Just about 5'8", 160. He's got 23 stolen bases despite spending the first couple of weeks in the minors this year. Tonight's aerial coverage is brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. So the leadoff man is aboard for the Cubs here in the bottom of the 9th. And here's Wellington Castillo to face Alfredo Aceves. And he lines a base hit into left field. 2 on with nobody out. Down near the bottom of the Cub lineup right now, this is the number 8 hitter, Luis Valbuena, coming up against Aceves. David DeJesus, though, is batting in the 9 spot. And the Cubs with something brewing here in the bottom of the 9th.
And how big was that last tack-on run?
Valbuena hit a 3-run homer yesterday. As a concerned Bobby Valentine looks on for the Red Sox first base dugout. Up and away, ball 1. Aceves was supposed to be a starter. All kinds of things went wrong for the Red Sox in the spring, and eventually he became the closer. He can pitch in virtually any role and has in the majors. Here's a liner into right center. That is a base hit. And just like that, the Cubs have loaded the bases with nobody out.
I was kind of laughing. We were talking to Bobby before the game, and he was talking about when they put Aceves back in the bullpen, they wanted to make sure he could pitch back-to-back days. I wanted to tell him, did you not see September? The kid pitched every day.
Well, his first outing of the year was a blue pit, a single, and a 3-run homer, and that started the Boston bullpen on their slide for about 14 games where their ERA was about 8.5. But the last 54 games, this Boston bullpen has been lights out. Their ERA is around 2 flat.
You don't often see the manager go out just for a message, and whatever it was quick. Vicente Padilla just getting up and going through a warm-up routine that a lot of pitchers use, throwing a towel or extending their arm while holding a towel. And now Padilla is going to get busy in a hurry. From above, they are loaded with nobody out. The tying run is at the plate. And a swing and a miss by DeJesus.
I think the message was, okay, big boy, save situation now. Save yourself and us.
Just want to get an out. Take a little steam out of the inning for the Cubs.
Peter Pasquarelli reminding us that Bob McClure, the pitching coach for the Red Sox, is not with the team due to personal reasons. So Bobby V's got to go out and do all the talking to the pitchers. But he didn't hang around very long. Whatever the message was for Aceves, it was delivered succinctly. And Padilla continues to throw in the Red Sox pen.
And he's got Randy Neiman in there. They have an assistant pitching coach, and Randy's taken over. So it kind of eases the burden of not having Bob McClure around.
0-2. Out of play. The Red Sox with an off day tomorrow. And then they will head home for a 9-game homestand. 3 against the Marlins, 3 against the Braves, 3 against the Blue Jays. The Cubs will head south in a sense. Just to the south side of Chicago. They'll have a series with the White Sox. Bases loaded, nobody out. Energy back in the ballpark. High line drive center field to the warning track where Kalish will make the catch. Campana will tag and score. Castillo will come to third, 7-4. If that ball's hit a couple of hours ago, it's probably out. The wind has died down to a certain extent.
And as far as that went, and as much of a scare as it was to the Red Sox, they needed that out. That run doesn't mean anything.
First and third, one out. The potential tying run at the plate again. This time it's Reed Johnson. And a strike.
This is where the Cubs roster is a little short. You know, Reed Johnson's playing right field. Normally maybe a right fielder, you get some big RBIs out of him. He'd be down in the order in the fourth or fifth hole. Starlin Castro would be leading off. Darwin Barney be hitting second. Just a little short as far as the big pop to get back in this.
Back out of play, 0-2. Darwin Barney on deck. Starlin Castro behind him should it get that far.
And this is a situation where Laher's sitting over there. Again, maybe they can't, work. I mean, I don't know. It'd be nice to give him that bat.
Left-handed hitter with some pop.
Got 12 home runs versus right-handed pitching.
The 0-2. And Johnson fights it off.
As Dale Swain was commenting before the game, the National League was saying how much he enjoyed it because after the fifth, sixth inning, there's a lot of moving parts. And we've certainly seen them tonight.
A run in. 2 men on, 1 out. The tying run at the plate here in the bottom of the 9th inning. And a breaking ball freezes him for strike 3 called.
And he knew it.
A lot of fastball. The 13 pitches thrown this inning by Aceves. But right here, he throws a little breaking ball. Just catches the top of the strike zone. He'd wish he'd have that back if it got hit. If it gets called for a strike, you go, whoa, good pitch. Got away with it probably because he showed so many fastballs.
Now Barney. And a breaking ball buckles him for strike 1.
I would imagine we'll see the runner at first base take off and take the force out of the play.
Gonzalez playing behind Valbuena, trying to keep him close. Now backing up. And a swing and a ball popped up on the infield. This should do it. The Red Sox take 2 out of 3 from the Cubs, and they're back at the 500 mark after the win tonight at 33-33. The Cubs dropped to 22-44 on the season. That is the worst mark in Major League Baseball. Tonight, Chevrolet player of the game, Franklin Morales. Spot start, 5 innings, 9 strikeouts for the left-hander. Outstanding job. The Red Sox go on to win by a score of 7-4 here at Wrigley Field tonight. Coming up next on ESPN, stay tuned for Sports Center. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Oral Hershey.